welcome to the NGE Shadowverse Open. We are on week number 3.
Week number 3. I'm Sterling. This is Rainy. Thanks for coming out watching the show. We're glad you're watching.
We had a fantastic pre-show with a special guest, Envy Bear. Thanks to her for joining us, but it won't be the last you see of her. We'll reconnect with Envy after the break to get her thoughts on how the tournament has progressed and what she thinks about the semis. So you can look forward to that. But right now, we have the beginning of the NGE Shadowverse Open. For those of you who are tuning in who are new, let's talk a little bit about how the Shadowverse Open works. So, the first thing is that players will fight off in the open entry phase, open to all North American players, and the winners will receive a playoff invitation, and other top finishers will receive points, earning themselves entry into the first playoffs phase, which will be a 16-player invite. The top 8 players will move on to phase 2, where they will be prized handsomely, $10,000 worth of prizing there, into phase 2, and the top player wins the NGE Shadowverse Open.
And takes home a bit of the $10,000 prize that we have available. First prize will take home $4,000, and it's divided among the rest of them.
2,000, 1,000, 1,000, and then 500 for 5th through 8th. So there's a lot of money to be had. But not just the playoffs are prized, the weekly tournaments are prized as well. And so the first place finisher here will get 30,000 vials, a flare, and a direct invite to the playoffs, as we said already. And then second place, 10,000 vials, and third, fourth, 5,000 vials. And all participants will receive the NGE Shadowverse Open emblem. So just a little bit of something cool that you can get for participating in the Shadowverse Open. So I'm excited to see what happens today. Of course, if any of this interests you, and you also feel like you want to participate in the Shadowverse Open, maybe get your emblem, or maybe go for the vials, or maybe go for the playoffs, shadowverse.nge.io. Please make sure you visit our website, get all the information on stream time, tournament time, rule set, all that kind of stuff. And then finally, if you don't necessarily want to participate, if you're looking just more to talk, to hang out, to complain, to cry, to read a story, you can do so on social media, Twitter, @WatchNGE. Make sure you connect with us, because we would be happy to connect with you over the interwebs. But, Jeremiah, we have lots of Shadowverse action to look forward to today. I believe our first match will be a round of 16 match versus Less Than Namian, as they are getting settled into the round of 8 right now. Of course, the Shadowverse Open is Conquest format, single elimination, best of 3.
That's right.
And so these players have already started some of the tournament play and have been eliminating each other so far. So as we can, we're going to be hopping into this round of 16 match once it's good to go, and we'll be seeing our first few games. What, in your mind, has been most stand out to you over the Shadowverse Open in general?
Well, we talked a bit about this in the pre-show just a few minutes ago, but as of right now, Shadow is completely dominant, winning over 70% of the game, 68%, something like that, and seeing just as high amount of a play rate. I really want to see who can perfect the Shadowcraft deck to the most, because undoubtedly we're going to see some Shadow versus Shadow matchups. And it's going to be the little choices. Do you have 3 Ectors? Do you have 1 Immortal Thing? How is the composition exactly going to look for the most efficient play deck?
And I think a lot of it also is going to come down to turns and draws, right? Because we've seen a lot of times in Shadowverse Open where a particular player will get a really strong curve, have huge turns, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then his opponent maybe not so much. And I feel like that's been dictating a lot of the pace of the game these days. Just last week we saw incredible aggro play with strong turns, early turns, just overpowering Dragoncraft decks, as well as managing to best Shadowcraft decks. I wonder if we'll see more experimentation. We talked a little bit about how the Western scene seems to be playing around with Bloodcraft decks a little more. I hope we get to see that again today.
Absolutely, I'm sure we will. It does really well against Dragon decks, I feel like. With a good curve, that deck the Vengeance Blood deck can be absolutely unstoppable. Being able to play Belphegor on turn 4, and if you're going second, then you have that evolve point to use on Belphegor to try to gain some board control, or soul dealer even.
Yeah, so hopefully, maybe one of these 2 players, as we jump into the game, will be running a Bloodcraft deck, or maybe a Havencraft deck, which we talked about a little bit as well.
That would be something to see, a Shadow versus Haven matchup.
even, you know, even when we were talking about Havencraft, we talked about Darjan a little bit. I still just want to see a successful Test of Strength Heavenly Aegis combo.
Yeah, we haven't seen that.
I just want to see
It's difficult because you have to get the Test of Strength on turn 8, maybe using a Lion to clear the board with an Evolve point the turn before that. And then if you've gone first, you need to Evolve Heavenly Aegis on the next turn on turn 9. So then those are your 2 Evolve points right there. Maybe Priest of the Cudgel as well. But it's a real difficult combo to pull off, and it's greedy, and it's really easy to take advantage of.
One of the cards that I really like in the Havencraft arsenal now is Judge of Retribution. I feel like that's such a great card. You get so much value off of dropping it, and in many ways I feel like leveraging those cards is going to be the key to finding a path to make Havencraft successful. But round of 16, game 1, Namian versus Lest, and lo and behold,
Dragon against Dragon.
What a surprise. Wow, look at their card backs. Is that Masamune? And
oh, that is Masamune.
Yeah.
I think it's Baphomet.
Baphomet, yeah. Yep. Cool. Dang, I want that. All right, opening hands.
There's a Dragon Oracle in the hand for Lest, and an Aelia now. That's going to be a great curve for him.
With
what double Dragon Oracle coming out from that draw.
All right, it looks like we're just going to do the old, you know.
This game's going to ramp very fast.
We're doing the old
the do-si-do.
Nondescript cartoon show where 2 people just yell at each other and power up. Yeah, you know.
I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
Took me a few seconds, but we're on the same page now.
We're on the same. Okay. Rarely are people on the same page with.
Man, those animated lightning blasts.
He's got 2 of them.
He's got double of them.
You know, Lightning Blast has been a very interesting card for me. I feel like in the late game, it actually is quite useful in the Dragoncraft matchup, especially because Ouroboros is such a popular card right now. But I feel like it's actually very hard to buy time to play that in the most effective way, Lightning Blast. Is ideally you want Lightning Blast to remove a card and then have your board available to swing. But it's hard to just set up that situation. We'll see if that actually matters.
Right, a great combo for Lightning Blast is to play Bahamas and then clears the board, and then next turn you hope that your opponent doesn't have a way to clear off. Maybe they think, oh, I'll just fill the board with followers so the Bahamas can't attack for face, and then you Lightning Blast yourself, and then you're able to go for face for 13 damage.
You're still on the Bahamas, are you?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Nice. I support you. I support you.
Thank you, Rainey.
I support you, Sterling. Hey, which Ayala do you think will die first?
That's 50-50, man. 50-50. Whoever decides to attack the other Aelia instead of going for face for 2 damage.
It gets more dangerous the closer. So, for example, if you were to attack into the Ayala on your turn, then next turn you'll have 8, and then you'll be able to play Ouroboros, right? As opposed to if you attack in, that's going to boost the bottom player up to 7 play points, and that's going to not really, at least for
And that's
now,
what Namian decides to do.
Wow. He had the ESP, man.
He still has all 3 Evolve points, so next turn playing Ouroboros, attacking for face, if Les decides to play follower this turn. And then on the next turns following, he's got Israfil on turn 9 with an Evolve point to attack, doing that 2 damage to all enemy followers. And then a turn 10 Grimnir as well. I really like this hand for Namian.
Got some big cards. So one of the interesting things in hand here for Les is the 2 Dragon Scythers. So Overflow is active, of course, because they've been ramping so much, and I think they're going to be key for removal here. It's interesting because I feel like this is something we have only really seen in the Shadowverse Open very, very recently. So we'll see if that comes into play. I think that's the big difference here. They've got the Scyther in hand as opposed to the Lightning Blasts that Namian has. So who knows?
The difference is going to come for the being able to either banish or destroy your followers, because the Scythe, it has Storm and Bane. It can easily take out a follower, but it can't attack Forte, for example.
7 damage to face, and this is kind of a... This could be seen as a situation where you're trying to set up some kind of lethal kill on the next turn, but I don't think there's anything quite in hand for that yet. And there it is, the Scyther that we were talking about.
Turn 10 finally coming up for Namian. He's got all 3 of his evolved Lightning Blasts in hand. We'll see if he decides to Grimnir or Ouroboros. Both of those turns could be very effective because there's no banishment in the hand for Lest. Now, I think Namian is obviously going to expect Lest to have Lightning Blast in his hand, but of course he doesn't.
I like the choice. You know, we were talking about the 8, 9, 10, 10 play, thinking about Ouroboros, Israfil, Grimner, but as he was drawing into options, he picked up the Forte. I like him playing that first. You get the instant storm damage on that, and then you force your opponent to play removal to take that out. And
Right.
as you're pushing him out of options, that's just slowly making your Israfil more powerful, slowly making your Ouroboros more powerful, in case Lest had Lightning Blast in hand, which would be difficult for Namian to really know for sure.
And now Lest is one turn away from being able to play Genesis Dragon on the field. He's gonna Scyther this Grimnir away.
I think that's so it's interesting because the ramp went so far in favor of Namian, and I think that little extra bit of momentum might be the one thing that's going to help him close this game out.
The ramp in the cards as well. Lest is sitting on 2 Zells, a Grimnir for next turn if he wants to play that. But Namian has had a lot of great options to play, and he's been able to rack up the damage against Lest. It's 18 health to 9 health.
Let's see what the play is here. The board is empty, and so you can't really play for a trade, and there's no storm in hand necessarily. And he's going to choose to draw in Rahab, I believe. I actually think that's a great option because you don't commit options that won't give you maximum benefit and also risk having them removed. Rahab is safe because you're still holding on to your big options there, but you are threatening that ramp.
And there wasn't a follower for Israfil to attack, so summoning that and then evolving it, that would have done next to nothing. And he had 18 health, and healing for 4 wouldn't have been best, so playing Draconic Fervor and healing for 2, which was perfect.
Evolve into Zell means Zell can take Rahab, and then 8 damage can go to face. That's a strong play to help come back. Zell is one of the key cards in kind of Dragoncraft's combo. You can just see how much of an advantage that provided, despite the fact that Namian could choose to Lightning Blast us all. It's scary because it could just happen again. I mean, you never know what else is in hand, right? He could play... I mean, he's got another Wind Reader Zell. If he draws a heavy hitter, if he draws a second Ouroboros, 3 to the face, you're at 9 health and 8 damage swing. That's real close to lethal.
And it's kind of an awkward curve that Namian has here. He's got 3 Lightning Blasts, of course, but there's no follower he can play. There's no 4-cost follower, for example, that he could play and also banish the Ouroboros, maybe keeping the Zell on the field, evolving and tagging into Zell. He's got to choose one or the other. He's either got to play Forte or Israfil or Lightning Blast the whole board, and that just kind of resets it and then essentially giving Lest a free turn. But it does take Lest's Ouroboros off the table for good.
Yeah, so he's going to have to make some decisions here. It's going to be Israfil. And evolve, maybe swing into Ouroboros, leaving it with 2. I think this is probably the ideal option for him here. Ouroboros will return to hand, which means heal for 3.
And now Blazing Breath is the absolute perfect amount of damage to take out this evolved Israfil. Or a Grimnir, if he wants to get that 4 damage to face as well.
He can't play the Blazing Breath as well as the Ouroboros Zell combo.
But he could Blazing Breath Ouroboros. That would clear the board, give 3 damage to face.
So it's going to be Zell. Is he thinking about swinging face again? Looks like it.
Yeah, evolving the Zell would take out the Israfil, and then that's another 8 damage to face, plus the 3 from Ouroboros' Fanfare ability.
Storm pressure is really adding up here for Lest. And we were just talking about how successful Storm Dragoncraft was. And it's certainly demonstrating its prowess right now. 5 health left.
And there's no wards. There's no wards in the hand of Namian. Genesis Dragon is going to come out next turn and absolutely decimate him.
The Lightning Blast, absolutely not effective in this situation. Maybe he can Draconic Fervor and draw into a ward option. But it's just been so tough. We talked a little bit about the trade-off of having something like Lightning Blast. And definitely, I mean, you compare it to the Scythers, right? The Scythers were much cheaper, had that removal effect be present for them. Instead, these beautiful animated Lightning Blasts are still just sitting in hand.
3 wasted draws, essentially. He could heal for 2, but that's still the right amount of damage that Genesis Dragon needs. And Namian has got to know that either Zeus or Genesis Dragon or Forte is going to be in the hand of Lest. That's at least 9 options of cards. Well,
Yeah.
he's already played.
He certainly needs some combination of healing and ward. And even then, it's. I mean, not having evolve limits your options a little bit, but it's so tough to imagine a situation where Namian comes out alive here.
I can't keep relying on you,
Ayala?
Dragon.
Fervor for the draw. And I think he's gambling on the fact that there's no ward out there.
He's got to. He's got to.
Yeah.
Maybe playing Fervor,
Or,
hoping
sorry, no storm.
hoping that he could have drawn Bahamut or Rahab for a ward.
The sky's my
Yep.
destination.
And unfortunately, that will be it for Namian. He's going to drop 1 game here early on. And the
Well,
Dragon
there's
Craft
still 1
deck-
more turn left. He's only got 7 attack damage with Genesis Dragon.
That is very true. That is very true.
So Namian has bought himself a turn.
Ouroboros again. The situation grows more and more awkward.
I really like that Lest has chosen to hold on to the Genesis Dragon until he's got lethal, knowing that probably an Aesir Fill was in the hand for Namian and some Draconic Fervor and other types of healing.
There it is. The Lightning Blast will finally clear out that Ouroboros, but Genesis Dragon will drop here.
That's right, and that's going to be game 1. Going over to Lest in this Dragon versus Dragon matchup. We'll see what Namian's, or excuse me, we'll see what Lest's second deck is going to be.
So due to the Conquest format, Les was able to take a win with Dragoncraft, so he now has to move on to his alternate deck and see if he can take the second win there. Namian still has a chance to fight back. Genesis Dragon was something that we talked about. That's 7 damage, right? And as Envy mentioned, oftentimes when you get to that point in the game, you don't have an Evolve Orb left.
Right.
And it was spent for very good purposes, right? Using the Zell Ouroboros combo constantly to just get the 8 damage to face as well as the 3 damage.
Yeah, he used both of
direct
his
damage.
Evolve points on the Zell to get a lot of damage, at least 16 damage to face with the Ouroboros.
And I think using the Evolve Orbs in that manner was so much more effective because you get the effect of both Rush on Zell as well as Storm on the card you drop, in this case Ouroboros. And then finally Genesis Dragon with that 7 damage, the 2 extra damage compared to Zeus, I feel like was nice to have, but I guess ultimately not relevant because there was 5 health remaining on his opponent. But it's interesting to think about those small differences, right?
Right, and now Namian is electing to stay with his Dragoncraft deck into Lest's Shadowcraft deck. And this is an interesting curve for
Double
Shadow
Lurching
to be on.
Corpse.
Double Lurching Corpse. He does have the Skull Beast, a 1 and a 2 drop. We'll see if the draw and a Bone Chimera. That's a really great curve from Lest. 1, 2, and 3.
I feel like the Lurching Corpses are actually something that you would probably want a little later on because the Ayala, you almost want it to die anyways, so playing it on curve just makes it a little awkward.
Yeah, being able to play Lurching Corpse and then Soul Conversion, draw 2 cards, and remove an enemy follower is an amazing play in the late game for only 3 orbs to play. Because then after that, you could play Immortal Thane or Ektar to finish out a full 10-move combo. But in the hand of Namian, we are seeing Sybil and Ouroboros and Aelia. So there's a lot of good chances to ramp next turn if he wants to play Aelia and then go into Sybil in the later game.
Oh, that's rough, having to play Zell right on turn 2. And especially when you're going second, you have 3 Evolution Orbs. That's 3 opportunities for you to storm up one of your cards, but just has to give up that option early, and now Zell has to kind of swing into Lurching Corpse. Oh!
50-50.
Yep. Would have much rather that be Ayla. Zombie Party in hand, and you know, there's not a lot of draw in the hand of the Shadowcraft player, so if somehow this board wipes, it actually could get bad for less.
But in the meantime, in these early turns, there's not a whole lot of options that Dragoncraft has. There is Breath of the Salamander. That's some great clear, but it's just going to destroy a Lurching Corpse or Bone Chimera and just put more skeletons on the field as well. Especially if Les is able to draw into a Catacomb.
Yeah, the Catacomb would be a really interesting addition here, especially for the purposes of Shadow Reaper. There's a lot of opportunities for trading in to gain extra damage. It's like Ayla is going to take down the Lurching Corpse, putting the Shadow Reaper up to 2/2 and ramping up a little bit of mana. The ward to help protect himself, and I think this is smart.
My power is uncontrollable.
There it is.
Very smart. There's going to be 4 defense now that Les has to chew through. But he does have a 3/3 Shadow Reaper.
Zombie parties.
He could Zombie Party the Grimnir and then attack with Bone Chimera and then go for face for 4 damage. That'd be a great turn.
Yep. Will he spend the orb, though? will see. There it is. He actually does. Okay, so he's going full aggro. So there's going to be about 2 turns, unless he draws something, where Les has kind of an awkward period where there's not such a great turn here. Sybil finally coming out. That's going to ramp and overflow is active.
And going to give him some health back as well, and be able to take out the Shadow. Really great play, especially considering there's only 2 cards in the hand of Lest.
Yeah. Every little point of health matters. That healing might be just the right amount to save him from the situation. Oh, Orthrus coming down.
Oh, that's going to take out
Sybil.
Sybil.
Ramping out that skeleton's looking real handsome right now. He's well groomed. He's got 3 attack on his buddy. His buddy's still sitting there, you know, having difficulties at home, can't find a job. Just
down on his luck.
Yep. The other skeleton is like, "What do you just got to work hard, man.
Why don't you have a job, man?"
Look at me. I worked hard. Look at where I am now.
50-50 chance getting the +2 from Orthrus. Working hard.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Salamander will clear. Thane is available for the next turn.
And now we've reached the point of the
there's
game.
There's the Catacomb.
There it is. That would have been nice 2 turns ago.
Yeah.
But now we've reached the point in the game where Ouroboros is going to come into play. And it's going to be a nasty thing for Shadowcraft that has to deal with that.
Yeah. And, you know, just imagine the difference of having a turn of Catacomb. This board would have been filled with skeletons. You could evolve one of them and possibly even swing for lethal in some situations, right? That Catacomb makes such a big difference.
Absolutely. And there's still an Evolve Orb on the hand of Les. 8 health for Namian, which means a fully evolved ghosts from Phantom Howl. It's not going to be. It's going to be 1 damage short.
It'll be 1 damage short. It'll be 7. But yeah, you're right. I mean, these little differences, right? We talk about how much the healing may have mattered, right? 3 health, or if you had 1 more skeleton to ping 1 damage, you know, that may have made the difference. There's so many little things that could have happened getting up to this point that have changed it. But right now, it's a little bit of an awkward situation. Is there a way to even clear the board here? For the
an Evolved Easterfill would do the trick. It would take out the whites, and the whites wouldn't have their effect of dealing damage to the enemy follower when an ally follower is destroyed. But of course, Breath of the Salamander going to do the exact same thing.
And really, between the two choices, Israfil or the Breath of the Salamander, I feel like you would rather not spend that evolution orb, right?
Right. If you can hang on, if you're hoping to draw the Zell with the Ouroboros, that's what you want.
He's got the White King for 0, a zombie party. You could have a little bit of a party here.
He's not going to play the White King.
He's holding some options, which I think it's kind of smart. Hold some options here. And next turn, if he really wanted to, he could swing then convert as well, gaining lots of value. Zell is available to give something Storm the Ouroboros. And so Dragoncraft is thinking very heavily. It's going to be Israfil, restoring fort defense. Fantastic value off of that card.
And now the White King is going to be able to trade into Israfil because it gains Bane when it's summoned and you have more than 4 shadows.
It's got 17 guys holding on to a lot of shadow.
Saving on those shadows for a rainy day.
The
rainy day has come.
What are you hiding inside?
Catacomb is going to allow it to spawn a little tiny 1/1 skeleton.
Embrace me.
Oh, he's going to draw Death's Breath. What a great card. Throwing the Skull Beast in there just for good measure. Is he going to spend the Evolve point? He is.
Does not want that Israfil to attack next turn and completely wipe out his board. That would put a lot more skeletons on the field, but still, that's a real nasty attack that Israfil's got.
Got another Breath of the Salamander. How great has that been for the Dragoncraft player in this
Absolutely
particular?
getting great value out of those cards.
Yeah. Now, he's going to have 1 skeleton remaining. There it is. Hey, buddy. And he's just going to play Zell. Now, there's no more Evolution Orbs anymore, so that option is off the table.
He could have Olivia in his deck. We don't know if he does.
That's very true.
If he draws into that, I'll be really happy being able to predict that. We don't see it usually. Most players elect it's kind of a wasted turn if you're really trying to ramp up that damage.
What the heck? Got the ward on it as well. What a strong turn.
And the Storm from Forte is kind of mitigated by the fact that these zombies are going to be able to take that out completely. Ouroboros as well, 3 damage to take out one of the zombies, but there's a lot of pressure on the board from Lest, and Nami doesn't have a great answer to it.
The +1, I mean, look how annoying that is, the difference between 2 and 3 toughness. Just that +1 on health was...
It is the perfect amount of health for a Hungering Horde, if this was a blood deck.
A
But-
Hungering Horde.
Alas.
Please bring blood. Please. God. This is so difficult. All right. There's no real option to game Rush. He's not going to swing with the Zella. And I think
Oh,
that's
and an
pretty
Ector.
smart.
That is
Oh
exactly
my
the card that Lest
God.
wanted to draw in his hand right there.
Yep. Here's the boy. Demon Lord Ector. Oh, God. Oh, God. It's just exactly
The right amount of damage.
the right
I
amount of
needed.
damage. Yep.
Strength.
Ector. There were people who were talking about how Ector, they were like, oh, I'm not sure about this card. I don't know. I'm pretty sure about the card.
That right there just made me sure.
Yeah.
Really great card coming
like
in.
a-
It's a great effect.
It's like a Wind God that's actually, like, super good.
Super good Wind God.
Yeah. Wind God is, like, pretty good.
And it only costs 2 more. Wind God costs 5.
Yeah. The fact that you get the instant benefit out of it and then also the additional benefit is, like, Rush is nothing to laugh at, right?
No.
It's actually a very great...
Especially when you've already got followers on the board, which is Shadow's goal. With Catacomb, it's hard to deal with all those followers, and that's exactly what Les was able to do.
Hey, speaking of Wind God, we've both been boring. We came up with the same...
We do have a Wind God pen, but
we do. Yeah.
I don't want to change. I want to stick with Lucifer, my buddy Lucy.
You guys, like, hang out all the time? It's like he's your
Yeah,
best
we
bud?
like hold hands, skip down the road.
Oh, my gosh. All right, well, before we get too far into Sterling's adventures with Lucifer, let's take a look at the bracket and see how the tournament is shaping up right now. The last spot still being contested for. We have Noir from CF, and then, of course, Lux, and then Alternative versus Kim Young. We have Floor versus Les, and yet to be determined versus
Blarg.
Blarg.
That's a great name.
Blarg.
That's probably my
I
favorite name out of the
imagine
whole bunch.
that he was just like blarging, so he couldn't actually hold down the shift button. Like it was a little awkward for him,
Right.
so he just pressed 1 instead of
Do you think
exclamation mark.
Blarg is a blogger? I think a blogger named Blarg
would
would be great.
a blogger named Blarg? I think that
That's a children's book in the making. Patented. Can't use it. I've got it. Blarg the blogger.
I would like to not hear any more of your creative ideas. I think they will corrupt my mind.
Randy's jealous. He doesn't have great ideas like I do.
Okay, I'd rather not be a creative person than be like you.
Ouch.
Cool.
All right. Once again, we were talking about Shadowcraft.
Dragon Shadow. That's
Dragon
what it is.
Shadow.
You know, zombies, there's just zombies and skeletons, right? Zombies and skeletons. Right now, I feel like the zombies are like the upper class. You know, they get ward, they get like the health buff. Like sometimes skeletons, like that's one skeleton, you know, he pushed through. He made a
got an extra
difference.
2 attack, yeah.
Yeah, he was
he
like, "Look
rose
at me."
above his station.
And then he just got smacked down.
Yeah.
You know, never heard of him
Brother
again.
the Salamander.
Yeah, Brother the Salamander. But the zombies at the end, they were all like, ooh, not only do I get extra health and ward, but Demon Lord Ector visited
My
us.
boy Ector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paid us a visit, gave us some goodies, some extra merch, you know.
I still can't. I was just thinking about how that was the perfect amount of damage. 2 zombies with 4, Skull Beast with 3.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they live in a nice neighborhood. They have pet skull beasts. The zombies walking around with their pet skull
A
beasts.
white picket fence with Skull Beast running around.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Tossing the football with the zombie son. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what that was.
The Shadowcraft dream.
Oh, that's what people look forward to, right? The Shadowcraft dream. I want to live one day in a nice Shadowcraft neighborhood where I can win all my games.
Double Shadow. This is what I was talking about. I wonder what the compositions are going to be that's gonna bring victory to one of these players.
Nor versus Lux. Right. Let's take a look-see here. Mulligan, Demon Lord, don't need him quite yet. Soul Squasher, Skull Beast, and Orthrus is not bad. 2 Catacombs and a sad little mummy. Sorry, I projected the sadness. My apologies. God.
He could be a really happy mummy.
Yeah.
It's probably a really happy mummy.
Yeah.
It is lesser mummy. It's a lesser mummy, so.
Lesser mummy, just a kid mummy.
Yeah.
Is he wearing a hat? He is. No, that's a crown.
So he's a royal lesser mummy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got some bling.
What are you hiding inside?
Catacomb on turn 3.
There's
them
not a
on the-
catacomb in the hand of Noir.
Yeah.
But there is a Northrus.
Oh, man. Let's see how these turns play out. No catacomb just yet, as you mentioned, could turn things a little bit difficult here, especially when your opponent has 2 in hand, especially with the Shadow Reaper coming up as well. The board could get real troublesome very quick. And the Wind God. The Wind God.
The Wind God buffing up all those skeletons. And there's another catacomb.
What are you hiding
Lux is going to
inside?
play that now. Getting great effect out of this card.
Nice. Not wanting to bump the Chimera. Oh, nice. All right, and so I actually feel like the hand is favoring Noir in many ways, especially when you're going turn 2 and you somehow still have board control, or rather you're, I think he's just a slight turn ahead in terms of damage to face.
Right.
In a matchup that's as aggressive as Shadow vs. Shadow, I feel like that can make a lot of a difference here.
Having Cerberus as well, that's going to come in. That's going to make a huge difference. If he wants to play that next turn and then evolve it. We do have a possible Wind God coming out next turn for Lux.
Mhm.
What are you
There's some
hiding
strong
inside?
options for sure. Evolve on the Catacomb.
Dance, dear bones of white.
Noir's going to trade into the skeleton, so there's 2 followers that are going to be able to summon a skeleton on the side of Lux. Would have been nice if there was 3 followers to have Wind God buff up.
Mhm.
He could Rabbit Necromancer Shadow Reaper. That'd be and then evolve attack into the Catacomb
Mhm.
as well.
It could be, I think that could be valuable, because then you set up your Shadow Reaper to be able to trade all the skeletons in and then maybe Wind God buff and swing. Instead, the Wind God is going to go first. Is he going to go for face damage? Or trade? Evolve? So Soul Squasher now can take that out?
Dance,
He's
dear
just at
bones of
4
He's
shadows
going to go
now.
for face damage,
You're mean.
Holding the second Catacomb.
deciding about whether to trade it into the one that's already evolved.
Will opt to go for face damage. So 3-1-1 on board.
Soul Squasher is an option, but if you play Soul Squasher this turn, you're not going to have enough shadows. He's going to trade it into the evolved Catacomb. Okay. Yeah, I think he wants to save those shadows for Death's Breath next turn.
So he's got Coco and Mimi, which I think is a very important play to get out of your hand as soon as you can, because that's going to provide you a lot of damage. He's going to trade Wind God, perhaps, to prevent the further buffing.
Yeah, I definitely want to get that off the board.
This wind shall blow again.
Buffs when it's played and at the start of your turn.
Nice. Look at that Catacomb. Making these trades efficient.
And now the board is definitely favoring Noir. We'll see what Lux has to do with answering this.
Up to 6 play points now. Ooh, just a Goblin. Not quite at Ector just yet. So this is going to be a big turn 6 for Nor.
Definitely, definitely.
Where's the orb going to go?
But clearing out all these skeletons is just going to give Noir an opportunity to have a full Death's Breath with evolved zombies. Or buffed up zombies. Maybe he wants to evolve one of them.
Shadow Reaper is still going to be in ambush, though. That means it's just slowly going to be lifting weights just in the corner staring while he's pumping irons.
Bones embrace me.
And even though this hand is stacked for Noir, Lux has been able to put on a lot more damage.
The constant Catacomb, you know? No matter how well he tried to trade.
I'll show you.
All right. This zombie is... wow! What the heck? Look at his face! What's going on there?
He's angry, man.
Huh?
He's not happy.
Rabbit Necromancer, 2 damage to face, plus a 4 damage Reaper. This is looking real scary. And you got more buffs coming from Ector himself. He's got Rush on the zombies as well.
But there's still 3 wards that he's got to chew through.
Right. Is it possible? Oh! Okay. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8 damage. 9?
He's going to be
He's dead.
1 damage shy.
He's dead.
There it is.
He's dead.
Yep, he's dead.
He's dead. Shadow Reaper's pretty good.
Too strong.
Shadow Reaper.
Man, what
I
a great
think-
Shadow Reaper there.
2 games in a row, we see Ector just rolling in the dough. You know? He's just sitting there, calling up his boys, and hey.
Right when turn 7 comes along.
Yeah.
that's when you know you've got to clear the board.
Mhm.
You've got to prep yourself having the cards in your hand that you need to clear the board so that Hector doesn't get a great play like we just saw right there.
What a great addition as well, the Rabbit Necromancer.
Mhm.
I feel like that was also a very key addition. 3 damage, right? But if you kill it, its last word does 2 damage to your face. Exactly 9 damage left on the board after the Hector came down.
Right.
Everything was so synergistic. And honestly, board control is so important. Catacomb really highlights why that is the case. If you're playing a lot of Catacombs, those little skeletons, they really start adding up. They put a lot of pressure onto you. And
War-
prevented Nor from playing the options that he wanted.
And now Lux going over to his dragon deck. We saw in the last game that Shadow was able to beat this ramp dragon. We'll see if it can do it again here.
There it is. Got no ramp.
No
Meanwhile,
ramp.
Shadowcraft has no 1-drop or 2-drop.
The sky's my
He's got Shadow
destination.
Reaper, but that's definitely not the ideal 2-drop. You want something more like a Spartoy Sergeant. Something along those lines.
What do you even do? Do you party? Is it party time?
It's party time.
No regrets.
It's... Why did we say that in sync? I hate that. I hate that that just happened. Ding dong!
And there's not a lot of aggression on the board. It's already turn 3, and he has to play the Shadow Reaper just for tempo, just to have something on the board.
Both players, I feel like, are falling behind. I mean, there's still no ramp. You haven't necessarily drawn fantastic options. I mean, you've got this Goblin Mount Demon, but why is that not Sybil, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a 5-drop, he could have 3 of each, or maybe 2 demons and
Yeah.
3 Sibyls.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The concept of having the Goblin Mount Demon maybe, could probably work out, but
Right.
I feel like in most cases you would much prefer to have the Sybil first,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you haven't been able to ramp at all.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, sick. Sick.
0 damage. Gotta
You're
love it.
mean. No, you deserved it. You're Shadowcraft.
You're the mean one. Yeah, and this Orthrus could do 2 damage to the bell ringer.
Oh,
Nice.
easy peasy. I don't know if that was like really what you wanted though, because if you did the 2 to the Rahab, then you get 3.
Then the Shadow
you
Reaper
can
would have been able to
trade.
trade in right there. Yeah. So he's gonna. I think he's gonna have to evolve the Reaper if he wants to take out that Rahab.
Mhm.
But next turn, there's not a
Yeah.
great 5-drop. He could play another Rahab. He's got a second one in his hand and evolve that. Then both of them would gain 1 attack point from the remaining orb.
Mhm.
I love that. I love having more than 1 Rahab on the field.
Yeah. Rahab has been such a popular card since the expansion has dropped, and it's just the looming threat. I've never actually seen a Rahab get buff and swing lethal, but it's just the threat of it. So it looks like they are going to go for the Shadow Reaper Evolve. Nora's going to be able to remove Lux's Rahab there.
And the Shadow Reaper able to stay alive with 1 defense.
There it is! Goblin Mount Demon.
There's a
Nice.
lot more where that came from.
It's got a super beefy ward.
But it's only going to have
Be,
4 defense, though.
Being able to take down that Shadow Reaper is, I think, fairly valuable. Is it Cerberus? Shadow Reaper?
He didn't have enough
Soul
shadows to play
Squasher?
Soul Squasher.
Nope. Yeah. He's gotten 2 here. And now he can Soul Squasher.
What a
Soul
great play.
Conversion.
Using Soul Conversion to get those extra shadows.
You were talking a little bit about how much you like that card as well. Soul Conversion has a lot of flexibility. And I mean, in the last game as well, there was a lot of card draw that Nor was able to pick up, despite the fact that he ended up losing that particular match. Still, having the ability to try to search for options is so important. It could be the difference between winning and losing a match.
Absolutely.
Oh, he's he's prepping.
He's prepping.
He's prepping for it. What are you waiting for? Oh, man. Again.
He knows that the Shadow Reaper wouldn't be able to be taken out by Breath of the Salamander, for example, because it still had the ambush. It would have taken 2 damage if he targeted the Soul Squasher. But I think Noir was prepping for that. But Lux, of course, didn't have this Breath of the Salamander in hand. He's going to evolve the Cerberus.
So do you think it's the Soul Squasher or a Coco or Mimi to be spent here?
I think he might want to
Soul
play.
Squasher. Maybe buffing up the Shadow Reaper?
He might want to play Skull Beast. Get that extra 1 follower on the field. So next turn he's got Ektar in his hand. He's going to be able to get that out next turn. I think that would be absolutely stellar. And he doesn't have any shadows, so there's not going to be any zombies that are going to be summoned. You need 3 shadows to summon 1 zombie.
Yeah. If you spend Ector that turn, that means you can't Coco or Mimi.
And there's not a great play from Sahagwheel next turn for Lux because there's no neutral followers in hand. There's Grimnir, but 2 attack damage rush is, nothing to...
And certainly we are feeling the effects of a Dragoncraft that doesn't ramp. This game is moving quite as fast as a turtle.
That's got to be
For
how
Lux.
it feels for a Dragoncraft for sure.
Yeah.
You certainly wanted to have ramped at least 2 or 3 times by the time you get to this stage in the game.
He might be ramping backwards at this point. He's going so slow.
And Noir is going to play the Skull Beast. He's certainly prepping for Ector. He's going to have more than enough damage to finish off this game next turn.
Yeah, what is the option? I mean, you can drop Sahak, pull Bahamut,
He did draw Bahamut for the
take
Sahagwheel play.
2 cards down.
Yeah, evolve the Sahagwheel.
Fighting is so crude.
But there's still going to be a lot of damage on the side of Noir for next turn.
Ready to witness my true strength?
All right.
Destroy our foes, sacred
Pick and
ones.
choose, pick and choose. Gonna be the 4/4, and I think that's a smarter choice. Minimize damage while mitigating the most. The Sahak will stay with 2 health and another Soul Squasher, but not quite enough. You can spend Coco and Mimi and then Soul Squasher or some combination of that. Immortal
He's going
Thane.
to play the Thane. Oh, that's great, getting the 2 damage from the whites as well.
That card is actually so... Whites? Whites are actually so annoying.
Whites are great, dude.
They're so... I see them and I just get mad.
It's basically, it's the Shadowverse version of Urias, essentially.
In fact, you may as well just Photoshop a troll face on it and say, you mad, when you put a white down.
You mad, bro?
Yeah. You mad?
So now
Oh,
on turn
what a
8,
tough situation.
Yeah.
If only it were turn 10 and you could banish everything, wouldn't that be nice?
Alas, 'tis not turn 10.
He has Ouroboros, but he has no Evolve Orbs. He's in Overflow, so Scyther is his thing. He ramp Scyther Grimner. I don't know. What is the ideal play?
I think ramping this turn is great because you're going to be able to put yourself in a position to be on turn 10 next turn for Bahamut. And then Grimnir, like you suggested, getting that ward, mitigating some damage that's going to come through.
Storm?
It's going to be enough to take out the Thane, but of course it's just going to put the White King in the hand of Noir.
Gotta take down the white, and I actually kind of like that, just because you minimize damage that you take in terms of constant pinging if you let your opponent trade into your cards. But now here's a big turn.
Now there's a Demon Lord
There's,
or a Coco and Mini.
there's a big turn available here. Demon Lord heading up the charge. He's gonna trade one into the ward and have the white ping, maybe.
And that's going to be game. That's
Yep.
going to be Noir taking it.
There it is. Boom, boom. Oh, is he gonna do the Mimi finisher? Oh no,
This
he's just gonna
victory
let it.
is a testament to your
Coco, you know, I found out which one did the direct damage, and then I just forgot again.
I think I forgot to.
Coco is Coco the direct damage. Coco is the direct damage. Mimi is the buff. I think I remember that's
Yep.
how it was.
Okay,
Yeah,
great. I'll take
I
your
think
word
so.
for it.
You'll take our word for it. All right. Well, somebody in chat is gonna be like, "Hey, buddy, come on.
Know
on.
your stuff. Yeah.
Is it Coco or Mimi? Make up your mind."
And that was another great game of Ector coming in clutch. And he didn't even need Coco Man. He didn't use those 2 cards the whole game.
Was
He
that
just,
like 3 games in a row where Ector was just like rolling
2 games? It was 2
2 games?
Yeah.
2 games? Yeah. Ector. We should have an Ector like kill count. You know, currently Ector's like 2-0. I'm recording it.
All right, and there's a sword deck coming out for Noir. I like this a lot into the Dragoncraft deck, especially if it's if there's a lot more aggressive cards. Luminous Mage is great again in this matchup. It's a great card in general. I think Luminous Mage is one of the main reasons why we see the sword deck so often.
I'm titling it the Ector Dunk Counter. He's got 2 dunks.
2 dunks.
You know, Ector's slam dunked people twice.
Mm.
Already.
Mm.
Ding dong. What a fantastic card. Oh my god, my eyes!
That's a lot of Tsubakis.
Two
So many
Alberts,
legendary.
3 Tsubakis.
So shiny.
I need to get my eyes checked again. I need new glasses.
Oh, 0 damage.
Novice Trooper. Goodbye, Ding Dong. You may as well,
That's why
right?
Ding Dong is such a good card, mitigating that one attack of Storm, and you get to draw a card.
I feel like, in many ways, Storm is a very valuable ability to have, but if you have no other play, you kind of just have to, you know.
Just clearing the board is great, setting up
Oh,
for
he gave him
damage
ramp.
next turn, and gave him an Oracle.
This was really what was missing for Lux in the last game, right?
Definitely.
Actually, I don't think he ramped even once, did he?
Oh, there's a third Albert. He's got 3 Tsubakis and 3 Alberts in his hand.
Oh my god, man!
What a hand!
What is going on?
Never seen that before.
Meanwhile, there's like weird, like a draconic fervor, I guess. Maybe he could lightning blast, but then he has to wait for Sahak. Maybe Sahak Lucifer is the big thing. That'll be pretty good. All right. What is Nor thinking about? What can I do with 3 of each of these cool cards in my hand?
I guess he was deliberating about whether or not to evolve the Novice Trooper.
And maybe he's saying, you know what? I have aggro for days.
I think he definitely wants to end the game before he gets to turn 9, so Albert is going to be a tricky play. He's not going to be able to enhance 9 that.
It might have been a nail in the coffin already for Nor, just the fact that he's gotten up to Sybil and was able to ramp once.
Right. And he's still got some healing available with Draconic Fervor, not to mention the healing from Sybil.
Oh, Luminous Mage can help tide him over just a little bit. Is he going to trade the Knight in? Looks like it is.
He's going to leave the Mage on the field.
Yep, trying to get the
turn.
free evolves. The Mage would have died. The Knight would die as well, but then you maintain the ability to have free evolves on commanders, and thankfully you got Albert.
Yes. And a Tsubaki next turn if there's a Lucifer that comes down this turn, or a Sahak Wheel.
Sahak Wheel would need to be evolved, but
You're already sitting at 19
to the
health.
point. Yeah, we're already getting to the point where it's unstable for the Swordcraft player. You know, he would have to become very fortunate. 2 Bahamut's in hand, man. Thankfully, you got 3 Tsubakis as long as you just go Bahamut, Tsubaki. Lucifer, Tsubaki, Israfel, Tsubaki.
Yeah, at first I was looking at Noir's hand thinking, oh no, what a whiff. But these 3 Tsubakis and these 3 Alberts are going to come in handy a lot.
That's
especially
that boy.
Against all these Bahamuts.
Free evolve.
Definitely.
Free evolve. Albert can swing for 5, have 7 health. A 5/7 on the evolve, turn 5 is actually so good.
It's so great.
So good. All right. Let's see here. He's just thinking real hard. Maybe he's trying to decide who he wants to evolve, and it's going to be the Luminous Mage. I think a very concerted effort to try to keep the health level at 5.
Right. But then if he evolved Albert, then Albert would have been the obvious target for something like maybe a 6-cost targeted Lightning Blast, and he still would have had the Mage on his side of the field for another free evolve. But now they're both kind of premium targets.
It's great because in some senses to mitigate damage, you want to take down the Albert because the Albert can still be evolved. But if you don't take down the Mage, then another Albert comes down and then you evolve the Albert again for free.
Right.
You know. Oh my god, look how handsome he is. Oh my. See ya. And that's also going to give him the healing on the exit here. Ooh, nice.
Yeah, really great play from that Scyther. Taking out the Albert, does not want that to be evolved. Next turn in healing for 4.
Now we're getting ever closer, playing around Tsubaki by the way, we're getting ever closer to the point where Albert could start being, okay, Mage Leader, what are you really going to draw? What are you going to draw?
He could have another Mage. He's got all 3 Tsubakis and all 3 Alberts, so I think typically those are the
Tsubaki's,
only 3 commanders that you have in this kind of deck.
Yeah. Incidentally, for whatever reason, Tsubaki will forever be an officer card. I think she should be a commander. She's pretty cool. But maybe you know, the officer life is what the life for her.
Yeah. Still getting buffed up by cards like White General.
That's very true.
Yep.
There's some benefits to being an officer. You know, it's not all fish and chips and.
Fun and games, yeah.
Yeah. Is that a phrase? It's not all fish and chips.
Never heard it before. If it is a phrase, it's a phrase now.
Ready to witness my true strength?
Yes, I'm ready as fulfilled. Show me.
Song of sorrow.
Man, it's such a great card.
Apologies, sir.
So this is the end.
All right, so that's a pretty big board.
Mhm.
Tsubaki will be able to get rid of the Israfil.
But that's going to be the whole turn. There's not a perfect curve. He could Fang Blade. He's going to Tsubaki, of course.
Yeah. The dangerous things to look out for are there any big storm opportunities? Because as long as you're just going back and forth, he can actually just Tsubaki to answer any huge damage that comes down his way, make his way to turn 9 where he's going to get Albert for double swinging. Now he's used the last Evolve Orb to get that Tsubaki rush and clear the board entirely.
Of course, he does have Luminous Mage in his hand.
Yes.
So that's another free evolve point.
So that's going to necessitate playing Luminous Mage and then maybe an unenhanced Albert, or hoping that the Luminous Mage survives. So this is going to be another Tsubaki turn probably.
Man, back up to 20 health. Lucifer is absolutely getting great value in this. Fang Blade, of course, going
Nice.
to take that away, right?
I think Fangblade instead of the Tsubaki is best because now you can use Tsubaki on the Bahamut rather than trying to use a Fangblade on the Bahamut.
Both
There it
players sitting at a lot of health. There's been
Now-
healing and not a lot of. There's been healing coming out from Lux and not a lot of aggression coming out from him as well.
Take my Blade of Resentment.
Go on, take it.
Just take it. All right. That's pretty good. Little does he know that there's a second Bahamut that could come down. And I feel like committing the ward was in general a great idea, and I think is the right play, just because you're never really sure.
Right.
But knowing that that board wipe is coming is
He does see that there's no evolve points left for Lux, so Zell, Sahakuyo, Bahamut
Retreat.
attack is not going to come.
all right. Show him the third one. You fool me once,
He ended up
Shame.
using all 3 Tsubakis.
shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. Shame on you, shame on me. I keep getting those mixed up. Fool me thrice? What happens if you get fooled 3 times?
I don't know. You're an idiot. You're a fool. That's what that means.
Oh, man. So there's still Israfil that could come down that could be very tough to remove. Do you think he's going to go for the Enhanced Albert here, or is he going to try to look for some Luminous Mage play? Luminous Mage... There's not a good way to remove that Mount Demon. Maybe if you Grimner swing Fencer?
Yeah, that would be 7. That would be, and it would leave the Fencer alive with 1 health. That might be the best value that Grimnir is going to get against Dragoncraft, being able to take out a follower and also do damage to face. Because only the 4 damage, that's not gonna do much against a Bahamut. But in the interest of clearing out this ward, I think that would be a great play.
I think just also in general, making sure that you keep board control to prevent Lightning Blast from allowing face damage is very important right now
Right.
for Noir. That being said, if Noir overcommits and gets his cards Lightning Blasted out, he could very quickly run out of options.
Right. He could trade Tsubaki and the Fencer, and then summon Albert on the next turn, but he's going to play Grimnir and trade the Fencer into it.
I like this choice.
Yeah.
Your Fencer is going to live with 1.
And you keep all 3 total followers on your side of the
That
field.
might actually pull out one of the Lightning Blasts. But little did you know, he had another Lightning Blast. I feel like this is a theme of the game. This particular game.
Another Lightning Blast, another Tsubaki. Another Bahamut, another Tsubaki.
Yep. Dragoncraft player's turn. He's got Sahak, but not necessarily anything super fantastic.
He could Israfil with Sahakuyo.
Yep. Gonna skip the healing, but give him the 2 AoE, so he's gonna be able to take out the Fencer and the Grimner here. Put Tsubaki to 1. Nice.
Giving yourself a ward, that's great.
So I don't know how much value Hold Soul Swing is, but that certainly is a juicy target to use it on. Or do you go for Albert? Or do you do Mage? Hold Soul Swing, Mage, Evolved Knight.
Yeah, you could trade Tsubaki into the Bell Ringer and then Albert, getting 6 face
I
damage,
feel
putting him
like
on 12
it's
health.
very important to save Albert for the killing blow here
Yeah, I think so.
because of removal.
Mhm.
Maybe Whole Soul. Luminous Mage.
That's going to trade into the Sahak wheel very well. It's going to be left with 1 health.
Is he going to evolve the Mage to try to remove Sahak?
I think that's the play. You don't want to leave, like you said, you don't want to leave a follower on his side for a Lightning Blast.
That would threaten the evolve on the Knight on the next turn, which would
Mhm.
force a clear from Lux.
Right.
So we wait with bated breath as Norm makes decisions, and it's really tense right now. Round 8, Game 3, they're both tied 1-1. The winner of this moving on to the semis.
They're
putting
both
them
tied
into the prize.
1-1, and they both have 12 health. Man, really, I think he's deliberating about whether to evolve the Mage or the Knight.
It all ends here.
It's gonna be the Mage.
Putting up the ward because I think he's scared of some kind of weird storm situation that's going to put him really low.
And that's just giving Lightning Blast more value.
Even more value. And that's what we talked about, right? If you commit a little too much to your board, Lightning Blast all of a sudden becomes good despite the fact that you don't necessarily have board control because you just push your opponent out of options. And there it is.
There it is.
Just threatening the fact that Knight could have been evolved to buff up everybody is already enough to pull the Lightning Blast out. Yeah. Interesting. The Jay Leno.
He's hoping to maybe get some damage next turn. Maybe Lux will leave one of them alive, one of the followers
Blazing
alive, and
Breath
then
is his thing. He could draw him Blazing Breath. Oh man, he's 2 damage short with that Albert.
Right. Sybil is a great play here, being able to heal, of course.
If
Rahab
he-
getting a ward as
actually,
well.
if he uses Blazing Breath, he's dead. Because that last word will proc. Oh, he could do it here. Okay, it's going to be Lightning Blast on the Geno. And yeah, proccing that last word is actually really dangerous.
Definitely. That would have given Albert the attack damage, or the damage that he needed to completely end the game. And he's saved on to the Breath of the Salamander as well. Lux still has that card in his hand.
Not great options on the board here now for Swordcraft. The only clean way to remove Rahab is to Albert. And your Luriel is kind of not useful unless you do clear the Rahab.
Right.
You play Albert.
But that's your win
swing.
condition right there.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. That's the card you need to...
And you know that there's no more, right?
Right.
All your Alberts have come and gone. You're the only one left now.
Has he played 3 mages? 3 Luminous Mages?
He has played 2 Luminous Mages.
Okay.
I believe. Don't remember exactly, but these are the things that you should probably be counting, especially if you're a player.
Yeah, Floral Fence are definitely not the card he wanted to draw there.
So it's going to be Albert.
That was his only option, really, to clear if you wanted to clear the board.
So would you swing twice with Albert or once with Luriel and then get the face damage with Albert? This way you hold more cards in hand. Or on board, you keep more cards. You don't have to trade the Luriel. Looks like that's the option that Nor goes for.
And for all Lux knows, there could be an Alweda's in hand. Or he could draw that next turn.
Wow.
Which is why board clear, definitely the right decision in this case. And Rahab getting another follower on the board. Great turn from Lux.
This is a strength of holding lots of cards in hand. Oh, God. Not quite, but we'll get the ward.
And that's 4 damage. That'll leave Lux with 2 health.
I don't know if there's... I mean, Fangblade Slayer? If he top decks Fangblade Slayer...
Next turn, that would do it. There are no more wards in the hand of Lux. A lot of healing, though, with Ouroboros and Sybil.
Yeah, that's going to be an issue. Israfil, Sybil, Ouroboros.
Only a few options for Noir. None of them are perfect.
Yeah.
He's going to have to bite the bullet and play Grimnir, I think. That's what's going to give him the pressure he needs. And hope for the top deck.
All right. Nor taking a long time deliberating. It's going to be the Grimner. One toughness left on Rahab. Oh, boy.
Hmm.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. It's possibly 6 damage, or you could heal up. I think the safer option is certainly to heal.
Certainly to heal up. But there's not a way to clear off Grimnir.
Mm-hmm.
Rahab's only got 2 attack. But an Ouroboros would deal the damage needed to take off Grimnir.
Big issue is if the Ouroboros comes down and the Fangblade is here, then you're dead. Right?
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of options that Noir has, I think, to end this game, and Lux knows that. Alwita's, Fangblade, we haven't seen either of those cards played.
Mm-hmm. It all comes
Or
down
we've seen one Fangblade.
19 cards left. 2 of them are Fangblades.
Yep.
Oh, boy. Oh, gosh.
Oh, man.
What a game state, man.
Yeah, my hands are getting all kinds of clammy. Cannot wait to see what Lux chooses to do on his turn.
Oh.
Man, yeah, I really like the Grimnir play in this case. It clears his ward and still leaves you with ward yourself. So, but giving Fangblade something to
he's
attack,
gonna
we just
do
talked
it.
about that, he's going to do it.
Yep.
You wouldn't.
But the chances are not that great that you're going to be able to draw Fangblade's Lair.
Oh, God. Swing for 2.
Oh,
God. No. It feels that really hurts.
There's no way for him to clear the board, and Ouroboros is going to do 3 damage.
Mhm.
That's enough damage for Lux to win the game.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh,
what a
man.
decision. What a decision, man. Super, super close.
Man, that was a long game. We were in that for the long haul.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, but an intense game as well. That went much longer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Oh, God. Grimnir, Rahab, and really drawing those wards at the last moment. Yeah. This is, I feel like, one of the negatives of having all those Alberts early on. I actually think that Tsubaki's really paid for themselves in a big way. But
Absolutely.
the Alberts, man, having to drop them on 5, drop them on 6, were just really, really unfortunate, I think, for Noir. So Noir's going to get knocked out in the round of 8. And
Shadow
Lux
Nexus
will
Lux.
move on, yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm.
Was that the first round of 8 game?
That was the first round of 8
That
games.
was the first round of 8 game. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we got 3 more of those till the semifinals.
Whew. Swordcraft is a thing.
Swordcraft is a thing.
Yeah, we
but
talked about its effectiveness in the current meta. We've
Mhm.
seen Swordcraft consistently curve out to win in many cases this time.
against
Not
Dragoncraft.
so true, yeah.
But in this case, when the game is stalled out that long, Dragoncraft has a huge advantage.
Mm-hmm.
There was too much pressure that the Swordcraft wasn't able to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at the bracket and see what's going down here. So we just finished watching Lux Noir, so Lux will move on.
And it seems like Alternative and Kimmy Jung have played their game and moved on.
Mhm.
Alternative has moved on to face Lux in the first semifinals game.
Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, we have Les moving on against Floor. And then we got Glass Fists
And
against
Blarg.
Blarg. What's interesting, Glass Fists is he is active on social media and he tweeted at us. He tweeted
he
to
did.
me talking about, I'm going to take Swordcraft and bring it to victory.
No
And
way.
to see him finally make it to the round of 8 on broadcast.
No kidding. No, that's so great.
Show me your moves, as they would say, right?
The pressure's on, Glass Fists.
Show me your moves. Right. Man, that I feel like we've been at this for hours now after watching that
That
game.
felt like an hour-long game.
Mhm.
Just watching every single move. There was so much going on.
I can only imagine what that feels like for the player. Just
Uh-huh.
like constantly the sweat, just like
Right. Yeah, and the curves were as such where there was multiple turns where there wasn't really a perfect options. Most of the time, I feel like most great players can know exactly what the perfect move is to
Mhm.
make, and they feel good about the turn.
Mhm.
There, I'm not so sure that might have been the case.
Mhm.
Really difficult curves to deal with.
yeah. 3 Alberts and 3
Tsubakis. Yeah, that's right. Oh,
The
man.
things we've seen in the Shadowverse Open, there was like 3 Bahamas.
And he ended
we've
up
seen-
playing all 3 Tsubakis and all 3 Alberts.
Yeah.
The game, I thought for sure the game was
Yeah.
going to be over before then.
Yeah, there's huge value coming out of the Tsubakis in that game. I really appreciated that. So, looks like we're getting Glass Fist versus Blarg set up. And yeah, I'm interested to see what Glass Fist has to offer.
Yeah.
It's because he seems to talk the talk. Now it's time to see if he'll walk the walk.
Do you think he'd be running a Shadowcraft deck with his sword deck? If that would be the great matchup, knowing you're going up
If
against
I were
other
a
Shadows
betting
and
man,
Dragons?
that's what I would say.
Okay.
But I don't know. Haven't been able to get to see Glass Fist play as much. But I'm sure this will be an entertaining match here in the round of 8. And we have just look at their portraits. They all got the most handsome of handsome.
Is that
on the
Roland?
site. No. No.
It's not Roland.
Roland in this iteration, in this universe, Roland is of the female
Oh, really?
gender.
Oh,
Mhm.
I didn't know that. Neato.
Nito.
Of course, Lucy. Yep.
Let's see, yeah. Yeah. I don't know what really I expect from this match. I think typically Mana Surge has actually done very well in tournaments overall and just in general. So to see one member of Mana Surge representing, as well as
Yeah,
Shadow Nexus.
Yeah, as well. Yeah, according to the total point standings, Mana Surge is second place for the total amount of points. They've got 120 points between 4 different players.
Yeah. So, actually you went through and got a lot of the point totals there.
Yeah, Shadow Nexus is right on top.
Shadow Nexus.
Exodium with 200 points, taking away first place last week.
Yeah.
Of course, that's the bulk of the points. Where first place, you get 200 points.
Yeah.
Second place, it's 80 points. So there's a huge difference between first and second place.
Mhm.
But if you're in the top 5, top 16, it's the difference between 20 points and 10 points. So definitely clinching away first points gives you a huge advantage in the point standings.
Also, it makes it a little tough because we've got Kiramango all the way from the first week sitting on some
Right.
points himself,
Yeah, the Lone Wolf.
taking it all for himself.
Glass Fist starting out with the sword deck, like you said, and Blarg with Dragon.
Gonna mulligan 2 of his cards here and not get anything that's necessarily much better, but at least he's got a strong mid game. Unica Bade Leader Novice Trooper is good early curve. We want to see Swordcraft with a ton of options, but will that be the case?
Man, another Draconic Fervor. Glass Fist definitely has the early game, especially with this Quick Blader that he just drew. Gonna
the
be
Quick Blader,
laying
yeah.
on the pressure.
So it's going to be the Maid Leader to try to pull a commander, or is it going to be the Unica to try to get 2 damage? He's got 2 Maid Leaders. He's going to try to pull the commander. Luminous.
Nice. He is going second, so he's got the first evolve point on turn 4. He doesn't. That would have been nice to have drawn. It'd be nice to draw into a Floral Fencer for that first evolve point.
Oh, double draws on the Maid Leader. Novice Trooper into Grimner, and then maybe the Maid Leader in one?
Yeah, probably. He's gonna have to chew through that ward one way or another.
Apologies, sir.
Quick Blader in.
And now Blarg's got Rahab on next turn, another ward
Yeah.
that Glass Fist is gonna have to chew through.
Now, it's going to be real easy to just Sybil up and protect yourself. You could also just Draconic Fervor and draw more options.
Right.
Which do you think you would do early on? In my mind, the draw might be attractive just because you want to get as many of your late game options as you can, but that board control, so he's going to actually, he's going to go for Rahab on 4, but the board control is actually, I think, pretty important.
And you're only gonna heal if you're in Overflow, and he's not gonna be in Overflow on this next turn. He is gonna bring himself up to 6, so then the following turn will be an Overflow.
Quick Blader in, hold sold swing. The Maid Leader comes down, he's going to spend an Evolve to try to close it out, or is he just going to let that Rahab stay?
Probably. He doesn't want to leave the chance that the Rahab will remain on the field and gain extra attack points next turn.
Maid Leader in. And now we finally hit turn 5.
And playing Draconic Fervor gives Glass Fist a huge advantage, I think, as far as pressure on the board is concerned.
Yeah. He's got a 1 and a 3. If you play Draconic Fervor, you're just letting that sit.
Lewis Water.
There could very well, for all Blarg knows, be an Albert in hand, right? So you might be letting a lot of damage in. He's going to put the Sybil down, but not going to evolve.
Right. And there's still a Luminous Mage evolve point. He could evolve the Luminous Knight and give the Knight and the Mage Leader an extra attack point.
Sword brings home
The awkward thing here is not quite... Okay, he's going to use the buff up here. And I would advocate clearing board just because of that healing
Yeah,
effect.
you don't want that heal to come in next turn.
There's 4 damage to face.
Really
That's
great
some fairly good early pressure, but there's definitely opportunities to clear the board. Ooh. Pumping up one more, and that's going to activate, or come real close to activating Bahamut here. He's going to spend Evolve.
No, he's not. He's going to hang on to it. I think he really wants to keep those evolve points for Zell coming up in these later turns.
It might be really great as well, just because you keep the evolve points. Yeah, you are able to play Zell, and you seem to be keeping up with board control as well. Just there's cards on the board for Swordcraft that can swing face, but not in the damage values that would really push you to a losing situation so far. And we see that in hand. There's not anything that's particularly dangerous. I mean, the biggest thing is probably the Alwidas and Luminous Mage.
Alwidas could come out this turn. The evolved Viking would be enough to take out Sybil, and then he'd still be able to go for face and have a ward, not to mention. That's what he's going to do. Yeah, Luminous Mage, Floor Fencer, great evolves, but they wouldn't have enough damage to really clear the board efficiently. And also go for some face damage.
Gonna remove Sybil. And push another 3 here.
But
not quite at Bahamut, but you're going to be able to do any combination of Ouroboros, Israfil, and then that ties you over to Bahamut. And I think that this puts Swordcraft in a really awkward spot. You don't have your Tsubakis this time around.
And even if you did, that would still be putting Ouroboros right back in the hand of Blarg.
Love to see Glassfist's deck. Just double confirm what's in there. Oh man, all the Luminous Mages being drawn right now.
Yeah, he might not even have Tsubaki. Yeah, Ouroboros is such a great card against Shadow. There's no banishment capabilities.
Yeah.
It's a real difficult card to deal with.
Yeah, Sword definitely.
You almost have to
struggle
ignore
here.
it and, hope get some wards.
Oh, yep. He's going to get the healing for Ouroboros. And now he's got the 13-13 on board. Is there an answer? Oh, God.
There is a ward, but not a significant way that Glass Fist is going to be able to deal with the Bahamut.
And he needs to be real careful, because if he lets that Bahamut swing and he top decks a Zell, then the game's just over.
Right.
He's playing a ton of cards on board here.
Yeah, definitely wants to make it hard for Bahamas to go for face.
There it is, and Bahamut can't swing face here, yep.
Right. Oh, but there is an
Israfil.
Israfil. That's going to going to allow Bahamut to go for face.
Yep. That's going to give it 2 damage plus a 13. Gonna knock Glass Fist really low, and 15 health on Dragoncraft's side as well. It's looking real grim.
And he's only on turn 9. He doesn't have Grimnir. And even then, oh man. Oh, what a strong board from Blarg.
This really was a case of just not quite having the options he would want on Swordcraft's end, and allowing Dragoncraft to get to that mid game. I mean, a lot of the early game was just not really existent there for the Dragoncraft player.
Right.
And then he just got to Sybil. He didn't even play any of his Draconic Fervors. It was just Sybil into Sybil, and then the healing was enough to pick him up. And, Dragoncraft continues to demonstrate why it's so sturdy. The healing has demonstrated time and time again to be absolutely way too strong, in the sense of just like, it's so hard to kill him. You almost need something like a big Roach combo to really push through.
You almost need a Dragon deck to take care of the Dragon deck.
Well,
Or
suppose you're not wrong. Suppose you're not wrong. Or
hey, fire beats fire, man.
Yeah, it's really just all about how much throughput you have, right? Chipping damage is not really an effective thing in the current state of the game. With all the removal that you have, as well as kind of the multifunction of, like, say, for example, Israfil, right? You got the heal, you got the removal. Ouroboros as well. You've got the removal as well as the heal. And then, what needs to be said about Sybil. Just all these cards with so much value every time you drop them. Like, it's not really a choice, right? Whereas Draconic Fervor, in many ways, is a choice like, I skip a follower, I get a heal, I get draw. for Sybil, what do you really skip, right? I don't know if there's anything you skip. I get a Sybil, a 4/5 card that's like pretty good. I get a heal if I'm in overflow. I get a ramp if I'm not in overflow. I ramp to overflow and then possibly even just heal off of that.
Real quick, I'd like to point out, Blarg he didn't elect to draw a single new card. He kept his mulligan. He had Skull Beast, Conjurer, and Catacomb.
And also, he drew Phantom Howl in hand, so this is
and
an
the Shadow Reaper.
incredibly aggressive lineup here.
Definitely. Probably trade into Unica, get that follower out of the board. You don't want
Stuff
to keep
with
us
2 healing
healing
as well,
Yep.
yeah. Get the skeleton anyways, because Catacomb's pretty good.
The hand from Glassfist, there's not a whole lot that he's going to have to deal with. There's Albert, Alwidas. Those aren't going to come into play till a few turns later. He's got a ward with Veteran Lancer. That'll force a lot of the skeletons to trade into it in the coming turns. But that also, trading into a ward like that, it's just going to beef up the Shadow Reaper even more. Man, what a board for Blarg on only turn 4.
This is the classic Shadow Reaper Catacomb situation where there's no AoE clear, and every follower you clear is just making the Shadow Reaper stronger, and every follower you play is just fodder for your skeletons to run into and buff up the Shadow Reaper. And what's worse is you happen to be on turn 5 here, so there's an Evolve that can trade as well to take down things like this ward card.
Yeah, he was able to do 4 damage this early in the game, whereas Glassfist wasn't able to do any.
And buff up his Skeleton 1. Or rather, buff up his Shadow Reaper 2. There's a Phantom Howl.
And I don't think the ghosts are going to be able to buff up the Shadow Reaper because they're banished. Maybe if you had a Sexton, that would allow them to be destroyed. But this is going to be a lot of damage.
Oh my god.
11 damage right to face on turn 5.
You've got 5 damage on Albert if you evolve him. Plus 1 is 6. That Shadow Reaper still sitting there with 2.
With 8 attack and 8 health.
I don't know if there's even any card you can play to kill it.
No, I don't think he's got it in his hand.
3, 4, 6. Nope. Nope.
Excellent work.
You're dead.
Excellent work.
Excellent work. Shadow Reaper Catacomb.
Man, yes, Shadow absolutely showing us once again. He didn't even get to turn 7. There was not even an Ector dunk.
Put him in a
Won't be
coffin.
long now.
He's going to go for it.
Won't stop me.
Ooh.
So this is
Not
the
quite.
end.
Wow. That is real tough. That is real tough.
An
There it is. The
exemplary
Shadow
battle.
Reaper to close it out. And Blarg 2-0 will move past Glassfist's. Shadowcraft is so aggressive.
Man, definitely showing us once again why it's the #1 play deck. It's so good right now, and that was, I think, one of the perfect curves that Shadowcraft could have gotten. Maybe not the best 2-drop. He didn't actually use the effect of the Conjurer, gaining a ghost on your side of the field with his evolved allied follower.
But a 2 for a 2/2 is kind of, whatever.
That's great.
That's fine.
That's exactly what you want, yeah.
The only thing about it is that, I mean, it's almost first world problems, right? Where if you had a 1 damage follower, then losing it, basically you don't lose any damage, whereas losing the Dark Conjurer, you lose 1 point. But still, it's that threat of making your opponent feel like they have to clear the board. So Blarg will move on. Let's take a look at the brackets. Let's see what's going on in the round of 8 here. And looks like we have the semis filled out. Lux from Shadow Nexus, of course, moving on. Alternative will be his opponent in the semis. Lest will move on against Floor, against Blarg. So we have the semis filled out. And what an interesting early part of the tournament. I feel like, as we were talking about the JCG, and their incredible 80% space in the playoffs filled up with Dragon or Shadowcraft decks, just an incredible showing. Tempest of the Gods seems to be favoring these two crafts much more
Absolutely,
than
yeah.
others.
We're definitely going to see some Shadow on Shadow or some Dragon on Dragon. Either really fast games or really, really long games. Either way, let's do it,
my
man. Oh,
goodness.
man, I'm so pumped.
All right, well, just a few reminders for you guys watching at home. If you want to join the Shadowverse Open, shadowverse.nge.io will provide you with all the information you need. We'll find the rule set there. You'll find how to watch, what the schedule is, how to join the tournaments, as well as if you would like to join in the conversation and talk about anything you see on the Shadowverse Open or talk about anything JCG or Shadowverse related, anything, make sure you hit us up on Twitter at WatchNGE. Love to interact with you there. You talk to us, we talk to you. Seems like a very pleasant experience. All right, so without further ado, let us head to break, and when we come back, more Shadowverse Open semifinals. welcome back to the NGE Shadowverse Open. We are on week 3, and some interesting things have occurred in the sense that we have started to see the continued dominance of Dragon and Shadowcraft. They were little pockets of hope, Swordcraft heroes that were trying to fight their way through, but just got shut down, and dreams of watching Bloodcraft as well disappearing
Yeah,
here.
so many crushed dreams. Man, I was really looking forward to seeing another Blood deck. Alas, it's going to be a lot of Shadow and a lot of Dragon, which I'm also really excited for.
So, as we're heading into the semifinals, before we really get into it, we'd like to just take a moment and gather ourselves and talk about exactly what happened, and I'd love to invite back the one and only Envy Bear to share her thoughts on how the tournament is progressing. And Envy, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Just watching the tournament. It's going exactly like I think we all thought it might. So
Just as planned, I think. Are you the one who's making Shadowcraft and Dragoncraft strong?
No,
Yeah,
that
do you have a
wasn't
hand
me.
in this?
I promise. No,
wasn't you?
Dragon is the last faction I wanted to be good. Trust me.
That's what a Dragoncraft supporter would say.
No,
Would
never.
they would try to pretend like it wasn't their fault. Meanwhile, Dragoncraft has been oppressed for a long time now in Shadowverse. Just in Rage of Bahamut, everybody was talking about how Dragoncraft was filled with memes. Rowan was very sad. Now he's all happy. I feel like it's a good time to be a Dragoncraft player. Let's take a look at some of the players' decks, shall we? I feel like so Ector maybe is really the big card to talk about today in particular. Envy, tell us a little bit about Ector, and then maybe to a certain degree Wingod as well, and tell us how that all works together.
So a lot of mid-range shadow lists have actually started to cut Phantom Howl. They're starting to shove like Thane into that and cutting Phantom Howl. I think people have realized that with Shadow Reapers, Cerberuses, and if you play Ector, you don't exactly need like the reach of Phantom Howl, really. And yeah, I mean they're all starting to get to like the uniform sort of like, we realize Ector's really, 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 really good, so we're just gonna make a little small board, and Ector's gonna turn it into he turns 4 damage into 9 damage or something, right? So, Ector's a very, very good card. That's all you can say about him.
Yeah, taking out the Phantom Howl, it makes the deaths less aggro and more mid-range, I'd say. Really relying on Ector, as you were saying, to get the reach and the damage that it needs.
I feel like there's a lot of opportunities in Shadowcraft to transition from kind of an early game position to a mid game to even maybe stretching into late, even though I don't know if you can really say late for Shadowcraft because games end before it gets to that point.
Right. Uh-huh.
But I mean, we saw something. How do you feel about kind of the synergy between Catacomb, Shadow Reaper, and then Catacomb stretching into things like Wingod and Cerberus and Ector? What is even a weak point to poke at for Shadowcraft if there is one, Envy?
So, I mean, Shadowcraft has, Shadow Reaper last expansion kind of towards the end of the expansion was starting to define aggro Shadow. But before Catacombs, it never really had this amazing card that pushed it over the edge. Catacombs making sure you always have cards that are there to consistently buff your Reapers, or just have something on the board to where you can Wind God, and you can get that damage if you have a board, and you're gonna have a board because of Catacombs. It has kind of pushed Shadow, I think, really, really far over the edge there. And I mean, Wind God makes a lot of sense because I mean, why would you play Phantom Howl when you can play the same card and buff all of your skeletons, right? You play one more mana, you make a big dude and buff all your skeletons. Why would you need the ghosts, right?
And when you've got a full board, Phantom Howl is not giving...
Yeah, you can't even use it.
You can't even use it,
There's no space, yeah.
Also, there's that double deficit of Phantom Howl spending your shadows, which you could better save for Ector. So that's Shadowcraft for SN Lux. Let's take a look at his alternate deck, of course, the Dragoncraft deck there. Oh my god, look at the cards, man! Why do you have so many cards?
That's a lot of cards.
Oh my god, Envy. Did you realize, guys, that it takes 57,250 vials to make that? Look at that. 57,000.
They don't call it Wallet Dragon for no reason. It's been called Wallet Craft. I mean...
Oh my god. What do you... Okay, well, what do we even really say about Dragoncraft? I mean, I feel like whenever I see Dragoncraft decks, I just see a lot of cards that are similar, and some people like to take certain cards, some people don't, but in general, they take a mix of a bunch of stuff that all seems good. Can you kind of separate some of these cards and choices for us, Envy?
So I mean, Dragon's kind of gotten to the point where they do play their own cards, right? But neutral minions have gotten to the point where they can all just kind of like win the game. Like Grimnir pushes lethal sometimes, Isterfield pushes lethal sometimes, Zeus, Bahamut, all of these cards that you just shove into the deck. If you make it to 10 mana every single turn, you're threatening lethal, right? So I mean, it makes sense that they would have 60,000 file decks that play all of these cards. And the fact that they can be on that 10 mana when you're on like 6 or 7 at worst, usually, just goes to where like why they're so good, basically.
Let's take a look at Lux's opponent, what decks he has ready to go here. And I think that a lot of the players have been really embracing Shadow and Dragon for good reason. It's interesting to mention, Envy, that we had just been this one in particular running Dark Angel Olivia, but going by that same train of thought, we were just talking about how Swordcraft was kind of getting dunked recently, and we didn't really see Swordcraft decks that were curving out as well and being as aggro, which seemed to be very successful just a week back. What do you think do you feel like there's a change that can be made to the deck building in Swordcraft that will allow them to be more successful, Envy?
I'm not really sure. I think Sword's biggest pitfall right now is that they don't exactly have the tools, and they're very, very linear. Like their plan is always like, I want to curve into, like I want Alberts to win the game for me. I need to make use of Luminous Mage correctly, or I'm not going to be having Evolves left. If my opponent doesn't play into Tsubaki, if I don't draw Weedas. The Sword has a lot of problems, and against Dragon specifically, they're like Dragon's like this giant, Swiss Army knife of win conditions and answers and heals and everything, and Sword's just like they got one plan and they got to stick to it usually. So,
yeah, I feel like that's really been the case. It really felt like things fell apart, especially. Do you feel like I don't know if you have any thoughts of it. What did you think about 3 Tsubakis and 3 Alberts? Because that seemed like it was real stinky.
That has happened to me before on ladder. It's really bad because you have to play these cards. Like usually in this number, you need the Tsubakis. Of course, you're gonna play 3 Alberts, right? And for it to happen like that, it's in a tournament especially, I felt bad for him for sure.
Of course, here's the Shadowcraft deck. Death's Breath would stick out to me for compared to Lux's particular Shadowcraft deck. Death's Breath seems to be a big thing that people decide to take or drop. It feels like people have mixed feelings about this card. Any thoughts on that?
I think Death's Breath, Zombie Party are the right call for sure. Any card that can come down and have 9 effective health, right, with wards and everything, and then also translate into an amazing Eater the turn after, amazing, incredible. I think the list playing Death's Breath, they're on the right track for sure.
And Alternative also has Erd in his deck. How do you, Envy, feel about Erd with relation to the Catacomb? Maybe playing Erd on turn 4 right after you've Catacombed a whole deck, or Lurching Corpse as well.
Erd is interesting because it can you get double the value out of a Lurching Corpse, right? Inside Shadow though, I feel like you're probably just better playing Necro Assassin. I've seen a few lists play Necro Assassin, and I feel like they're both 4 mana 3/3s to kill a dude. With Lurching Corpse to kill 2 dudes, so you might as well have had 2 Lurching Corpses like you would have gotten from Erd. I don't know. I feel like Necro's probably better there personally.
I feel like we've seen some very interesting lines of play coming out from kind of the Necro deck build, and I would agree. Most of the times, I don't actually see Erd being played, even when it's in the deck. Oftentimes, I feel like I see it in hand, and they just don't really commit to it because I feel like they just have better things to do at that play point. I mean, even at 4, in some ways, you kind of want to play stuff and then a Shadow Reaper than just like a 4 play point thing. You know what I mean?
Right. We saw Erd a lot. It's got in the previous expansion. It's got great synergy with Mordecai. We don't see that card hardly at all, actually, anymore. But it's an interesting choice for at least. We'll see if it comes into effect in this first semifinals game.
All right. Before we get into the match, let's take a quick look at the bracket here and see how our semis are panning out. So we just took a look at Lux and Alternatives decks facing off against each other, both Dragoncraft and Shadowcraft, and I feel like that's just going to be the flavor of the rest of the show from here on out. Less than Blarg. Envy, before we jump into the match, what do you think? I mean, I guess there's really no difference because no matter what, we all get beaten up by Dragon and Shadow, but what in your mind? Okay, for example, a Dark Angel Olivia Dragoncraft deck. Is that any better than the other Dragoncraft decks that you would see? Does that redeem it enough for you?
No. It's it's just like a flavor thing. Like they play it because they feel like they want it.
Hmm.
It's not a surprise that these two factions, these two deck archetypes, made it to top, like to the semis. It's just, I mean, good luck to them, of course. Still, it's not that they're worse people for picking these factions, right? Like,
Play to win. Play to win.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Sure.
Play to win. It's totally fine. I'll still watch it. I'll still root for them. But I don't have like a favorite player or anything. No one's playing Haven, so I've got no one to root for.
Yeah, the dream is dead. Well, maybe the next time in the Shadowverse Open. Thank you so much again, Envy, for your time. We will push through the semifinals and figure out who will be the third champion for the NGE Shadowverse Open. Again, thanks for your time, Envy. We're jumping into Alternative versus Lux. Sterling, I see 2 Prince Catacombs.
2 Prince Catacombs, but there's another Goblin. That's great. Okay, so if he can... Blazing Breath is going to be able to get rid of one of those Goblins. And then Catacomb next turn, that's still good. And then another Catacomb turn 4.
I think the turn 2 Catacomb really is just made immensely more effective by having the second Catacomb available. Right, because then you maintain your board control in terms of, like, even if they try to wipe your board, you get the skeleton and it gets the last word again. And that's why I think it's really effective just on turn 2, even with just one other follower.
Now he's going to... I like that he played the Necromancer last turn, just getting another 3 follower, saving the Catacomb for this instance when there's a lot more followers to be
And we got to
up.
see Lux in the quarterfinals really make great use of that Rabbit Necromancer, just barely getting lethal on turn 7 with Ector. And again, that Rabbit Necromancer got to swing for 3 to face, and so it's already gotten its value. It's 5 damage for that card. No Evolution Orb spent.
But he did use it to trade into an Aelia, so Alternative definitely getting the worth out of Aelia on that turn. And there's another Catacomb with 4 followers that are going to be beefed up.
Double Cerberus as well, so even if Ector doesn't really have the shadows to be super effective, you're already down at 7 health. Having 2 cards that can buff 2 damage each puts you real close to lethal in a very dangerous situation. Take a look at that. You can't wipe the board, man.
And there's no healing on the side of Alternative. There's no Sybil.
Oh my god, 5, 4, so he's going to be able to do 6 damage at least here. And he's got to evolve. Oh my god.
And he's got to evolve.
Of course he's got to evolve.
Wow, what a fast game from Lux.
Yeah. Shadowcraft. Rabbit Necromancer, Shadowcraft, everything just mashes together to make this huge synergistic, aggressive deck. Oh, man.
And now Alternative has a choice if he's going to stay with his Dragon deck or if he's going to go back to his Shadow deck. Because now Lux has got to go to his Dragon deck.
Yep, Lux has to move on to Dragoncraft, so let's take a look at the second game in this particular match already real quick. And it's come upon us. I feel like it took a few weeks to get here, but people, I feel like, have refined.
We knew it was coming.
Yeah.
We knew it was coming.
They've refined it to the point where they're confident enough that they can just bring it and push through, and that's exactly what we saw. So Lux onto Dragoncraft.
Get some popcorn. Lean your seat back. It's going to be a long one.
Unica, Bellringer, Dragon Fervor. Not the worst, but would prefer a little more ramp.
There is an Aelia and a Sybil. I like the turn from Alternative for sure. Definitely. But there is a Ward and an Easterfill. Again, we see the Goblin Mount Demon in the deck of Lux. He drew it in his hand just now. It had a good effect in the previous games in the tournament today. We saw it.
Yeah.
And he's going first, so when you don't draw Sybil, it is a great turn 5 second evolve point turn that you can use.
So Zell, the Grimner added on top of that. You're just going to delay, maintain the wards on board. So going to take down Bellringer, and that's going to draw ramp for Lux. More than welcome. Double ramp. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. He's going to be on overflow next turn.
This guy is rolling down the hill. He's a big snowman now.
A big old fat snowman.
He's
See
at 7 play points, man.
Oh, and that Sybil, he's going to be able to ramp again.
Gonna get the healing as well. Not that he really needs it, but you know,
Yeah.
just cherry on the top.
Turn 9 next turn. He's not going to evolve. He's not going to trade into Aelia. He doesn't want to do that. But both players have been able to ramp quite successfully.
Of course, being that Lux went first, the play point still a little bit in favor of Lux's side, was able to kind of maintain that advantage. I think sometimes in Dragoncraft Mirrors, the player who goes first, based on kind of the cards that they draw and what they have in hand, end up losing out in the play point advantage, and that becomes real bad because now you've got less evolution orbs and you're behind your opponent 1 step. Israfil down here. We'll be able to wipe out Isla and the Sybil.
And both players over-healing in this game.
That's going to catch Alternative back up to 10 here. Oh, no, only 9. Cause he already added on the ramp, so he's going to be on 9, which is a pretty good spot.
He does have 1 more point for the Blazing Breath. Really great getting to get rid of that Israfil. But now Lux has got the turn 10. He's got Grimnir. He doesn't necessarily want to do the 4 damage to the Ouroboros, destroying it, giving 3 health back to Alternative. Really great play getting to Draconic Fervor and then get the Goblin Mount Demon on your side.
Oh my god. Oh god. Oh man, look at them. And he's got Storm on 1 too, so he's going to be able to swing for 16, take down that Mount Demon, and do 8 to face. And we saw this happen in the previous Dragoncraft Mirror where that constant barrage of Storm attacks was just getting so much in favor.
Man, that's a lot of pressure. And Lux, he could have Grimneared and taken off the first Ouroboros, but now he's got to deal with the 2 of them.
I don't think he's going to mind necessarily the overhealing. He definitely needs to stabilize the situation. There's 1 evolution orb remaining, and you know, in this situation, Grimnir is not the best because Grimnir at 3 toughness can get overrun by a Zell Ouroboros combo. Thankfully, Lux is on 9 health and not 8, but really
he's going to
close
use Olivia
people.
when he's still got 1 orb left. What an interesting choice.
I think he's fine for this because now he can rush out the Olivia. Didn't quite get the Zell in hand, but really the goal is just to make sure you push your opponent below 9 and then figure out how you can connect with another Zell combo. I don't know if he has it. He's played 2 Zells so far. He played 1 in the early game, and I think 1 just then.
Lux just drew into a Zell Sahagwheel Bahamut combo.
13 damage. But
And the Zell's going to be able to trade into Olivia. That's going to be a...
he needs to clear, because he's going to take 6 and 3 from Ouroboros. So he can't quite just swing face. He's going to have to throw his Sahak Wheel in there and then throw the Bahamut. Or rather, either the Zell. The Zell.
Yeah, the Zell with the 4 attack points. I think that's the perfect turn right there. But it will be his last Evolve Orb, and the Olivia, of course, getting two more Evolve Orbs over to the side of Alternative.
Those extra resources might make all the difference. He's going to go for Rahab rather than Sahak Zell Bahamut combo. And he's going to spend the last orb. He's foregoing the 13 damage. Going to heal up a little bit from Sybil.
And that's now a useless Zell. In the hand of Lux, all the other Zells that he has in his hand are not going to be able to have any great effect.
Before this particular match started, we talked about kind of the effectiveness of Dark Angel Olivia and kind of what that might change for a Dragoncraft deck, and really I think Alternative is feeling real glad.
Right, in the turn before Alternative played Olivia, Lux used the Grimnir to clear off the 2 Ouroboros, and like you said, Grimnir is a weak card. Does not have a lot of tech, does not have a lot of defense. It gave Alternative basically the free turn he needed to play Olivia.
Just always on the back foot, lower in health.
He has been able to heal up a lot. He was at 9 health.
Yeah. And he's got some options in hand here. I'm going to wipe the Zell. Yeah.
No regrets.
Lightning Blast is in hand, so he can get rid of one of the Ouroboros.
Man, it's a real pity that Lux didn't get to use the Zell evolve.
Bring Bahamut in. Swings on Ouroboros, sends it back.
He was already at full health, not getting full effect out of that. And look at this hand from Alternative. 8 cards in his hand. He's got tons of options to play with.
Oh man. Putting Lux down at 11. Wiping out the Sahak Wheel. Now they can go back and forth with Ouroboros, perhaps. And remember, 1 Evolution Orb still remaining here for Alternative. So he's going to be able to perhaps drop his Ouroboros, take down the Unica, and then evolve, take down the Ouroboros.
He knows how important.
Oh, he's going face. Oh, yeah, of course.
Oh my
he has a
gosh.
Storm.
Ready to witness
He drew the final Zell right at the end.
Yep, that was it.
Yep.
Drawing that Zell is what did it.
Yep.
this victory is
Alternative taking the series to 1-1. Oh man, it's gonna be Alternative Shadow deck going up against Lux's Dragon deck now.
I think Grimner in that mirror match is so interesting because there was just no way out, right? Even if he had played the Grimner and cleared out the Ouroboros that way, the evolve onto the Zell would have let the Zell take down the Grimner because, again, it's 3 toughness. And even if it was 4, the Zell would still do enough damage to wipe out that ward and Ouroboros
Right.
would be able to swing.
Mhm.
It's just such an incredible combo. Ouroboros for 8. You know, that 8 cost, I think, is what really pushes it over. That
Yeah,
interaction
definitely.
between Zell. You don't even, I mean, in most other Sahak Wheel Zell combos, the reason why you use Sahak Wheel is because you want to bring in the largest, beefiest follower you can. But, you know, you can just play the Ouroboros and be just fine, right? If you're at 10 play
Bow
points.
before
So
dark dragon.
that's not difficult to get to
Ruler of the
on Dragoncraft.
skies.
Right, right. The Olivia definitely coming in clutch, giving him the last evolve point he needed. But now we are going into the 3rd game of this series. Alternative on a Shadow deck and Lux back on his Dragon deck.
Double Reaper. I've seen it work, but I actually feel like it's a little bit awkward to execute. You need to come into a very unique situation to have that really pay off. But we'll see. I mean, it could be the yeah, there could be some interesting ways to make this work. I think Catacomb is definitely a want here based on your hand.
Definitely. He does have the 2 drops and a 3 drop, so we'll see if the...
Yeah, I feel like it'd be really good to Bone Chimera into Shadow Reaper, Shadow Reaper. That's kind of what you want.
So right now the curve has been looking really great for Alternative. Lux definitely clearing off the beast there. Did not want a Catacomb to have any serious effect there. Because if you got an empty board and you play Catacomb, it's not a great card.
Yeah.
Really.
No ramp so far for Lux, and that might be the undoing. Oh god, what? Oh no. Oh no. Triple Shadow Reaper, is that a thing? Does that exist in this world?
We'll see it if it happens next turn. Interesting that he chose to evolve the Chimera and then trade into the Bell Ringer instead of Rahab. Neither Rahab or the Bone Chimera would have been killed. But it's still an interesting interaction because he essentially chose to give Lux a free card draw.
But he's just going to go for face, and I
going
think
for
that's right.
face.
He's got the double ramp on the Rahab, and this might be it. Watching Rahab clear board.
There's Cerberus. It evolved. It'll have 5 attack. It'll be able to take out one of the Rahabs.
And then the rest gets a little bit more complicated, though.
Right, it's a difficult turn. He's not going to be able to do anything else this turn besides the Cerberus.
He's going to be able to ramp up his Shadow Reaper some, but...
Want to play?
But they're going to be real easy targets next turn if he doesn't ramp them up enough.
He's not going to opt to kill off his Cerberus. So 2 damage for each of those is going to be 4 to clear out the Rahab. And there it is.
Man, giving up all of his Shadow Reapers. He's still got 1 in his hand next turn.
Ooh, gonna banish instead. Evolve and swing face. Dragoncraft is going aggro. Who needs to ramp? We're going now.
He smells blood in the water.
But I don't
Chose
know
to
if
lead
he
the
has
skeletons up. Oh.
Another Shadow Reaper down. He could remove.
Well, that's going to be enough to take out the Unica.
There it is. 2-2 on the Shadow Reaper. But he's still so far away, and we're already on turn 6 here. 3-3. Getting more shadows at 11 means Ector is going to be a big thing, and it's going to be real tough for Lux to remove that Shadow Reaper.
Definitely.
Comes into the Goblin Mount Demon, which is instrumental, but you're still going to get rushed from the zombies.
Yeah, next turn, and Shadow Reaper and the zombies are going to be able to trade into the Goblin Mount Demon, and the Goblin Mount Demon is going to kill off the zombies, buffing up the Shadow Reaper. It's going to get more and more attack damage, and he's still got an evolve point as well. He wants to use that on the Sergeant to get more damage to face.
Let's see what happens. Here comes the Ector. I think this is a very big play for Shadowcraft right now. At 8 health, he needs to take control of the match here. Demon Lord Ector gonna evolve and maybe step over the Goblin Mount. Here it is. He's gonna maintain a lot of cards on board.
That's a lot, and he's still got Mimi in his hand as well.
Oh, it's not quite a play point 10.
Yeah, not a great hand from Lux.
Even if you Sahak and bring down Bahamut, still at 9 damage plus the Mimi is going to be, oh god, no, he's got the 4, so we could just...
And Mimi, yeah, that's going to be game right there.
Wow, triple Shadow Reaper. Just the amount of pressure we're putting out here. Oh, he's trying to buff him up. He's trying to give him the muscles.
Does not want to miss out on 1 point of damage. And he drew into another soul conversion as well.
Oh god.
That is going to be Alternative taking this series.
Look at him. Look at him taking the longest path to victory possible. Orthra. Oh my gosh. He's trying to buff the Shadow. No, it missed. It missed the Shadow Reaper, man.
Man. Alternative taking this series, advancing to the finals. Man, what a great series.
Lux with an explosive opener with the Shadowcraft deck, continuing to go along with their theme that the Shadowcraft decks are really what make or break it. And
right.
I think the Dragoncraft Mirror was kind of a tough situation there for Lux, that his Dragoncraft deck kind of had to slow down a tick. So Lux will be eliminated in the semis, and Alternative will move on. Let's take a look at the bracket to see how that is shaping up. And of course, as we're moving into the finals, we're getting higher and higher. First place winner is going to get that direct invite to the playoffs. And
that's right.
If you're not even coming first place, or if you miss it just barely, not to worry, because you're still placing really well for the points.
Definitely.
And so we'll see. I think we're going to be seeing very similar matches coming up here.
Right. The next game, it's Lest and Blarg.
Yeah. Let's take a look. Lest and Blarg, who we got to see just a bit of here. I think we'll have a very interesting matchup. I feel like Blarg matched up against Swordcraft really well in the round of 16, and Glassfist took 2 shots at it, 2 cracks at Swordcraft, and couldn't make it work both times. And so I would like to see more of Blarg's matchup against the other meta decks.
We haven't seen how his decks will hold up against a Dragon or a Shadow deck.
So it's going to be really interesting to see if that's actually the case. But I'm not sure. Between the two, I'm not sure who would come out on top. Let's take a look at Les' Shadowcraft deck and see if we can get an idea of what's the key here for him. So he's opting to run with Death's Breath. Of course,
and he's got
Thane
3
Ector.
Thanes and 2 Ectors. That's interesting.
And this is one of those situations where Envy was talking about opting out of Phantom Howl just a little bit.
He still has 1 in his deck. 1 Phantom Howl. Just in case you really need those extra damage points, I think that's a great choice.
A single Erd and no Necro Assassin. So that's the Shadowcraft deck there, and I believe the alternate deck here is Dragoncraft. Here it is.
Mushusu. We don't see that card a lot.
Yeah.
I love that card. Really great.
We don't see it very often. It can buff up quite strong. I think the only thing about that
He's
card
got the Imperial Dragoon, too.
What?
We've never seen that card here at the NGE Shadowverse Open.
Not at the NGE Shadowverse Open.
It discards your whole hand, deals damage to all enemies based on the number of cards you discard. Typically, you see that card run with Dragonmancer's Rights, the amulet that allows you to draw cards as soon as you've discarded a card, which is a great combo. But, man, a really interesting play. I guess he, like having the 1 Phantom Howl in the Shadowcraft deck, he wants that card just in case you need that extra damage because there's a lot of draw opportunities with Draconic Fervor, and being able to discard if you have 8 cards in your hand, 7 cards in your hand, that's a lot of damage to face.
No Lightning Blast in hand in this particular deck, but Genesis Dragon is a thing, and we got to see that in the round of 16, I believe. So let's take a look at his opponent Blarg, what his decks are, and see what key differences. Tons of Dragoncraft, tons of Shadowcraft. There we go, another Dragoncraft deck. This time around, it's going to be that Sahagwil Lucifer combination.
That's right.
The 1x Lightning Blast, which could make all the difference here. We haven't really seen Lightning Blast come out in a big way. Almost none of the Lightning Blasts that we've seen has been used under Enhance. And it just seems like there were games where there were people sitting on 3 Lightning Blasts and just didn't really find a space for it.
We did see one great Lightning Blast that was able to clear an entire Swordcraft
That's true,
board.
yes.
Which was absolutely clutch.
Yeah. And it was a very key moment. Yeah.
Right, but you're right. There was one game where the player had 3 Lightning Blasts in hand and he didn't get a chance to use either of them.
This particular Dragoncraft deck looks a lot more standard here. Scyther has been really important. Taking a look at the Shadowcraft deck Blarg is using, again, this was very similar to the first Shadowcraft deck we looked at, where it was kind of Wind God, Cerberus, Ector, opting out of the Thane, still holding the Phantom Howl, but really just focusing on the value you get out of followers on board plus Wind God Ector, right? Is your big buff up. Cerberus really assists those low damage cards by giving you the 2 damage buff. And so just looking for that late game synergy there. Of course, taking a look here, Erd is non-existent here. And instead we see that Rabbit Necromancer, which Lux has been using to great effect today. And I think that's a great card to include in the list, just fitting in really well.
Yeah, that's right. Blarg's Shadow deck is definitely more aggressive than Lest's. I wonder how that's going to play out if those 2 decks end up facing off one-on-one. If the aggressive damage is going to be able to be too much for the more mid-range deck with the Immortal Thanes.
Lest versus Blarg. You know, I wanted... Man, Imperial... I wanted to see that discard damage.
I really want to see that card come into play. He might not even draw it. He only had 1 in his deck. But man, I love that card so much.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what he's trying to... what payoff he's really looking for in that situation.
Right.
And I want to see that payoff happen. Just because, hey, you know.
It could be the most satisfying victory, being able to draw that card, play it, and then completely discarding your hand. And then that's it. That's all she wrote.
So on to the semifinals. Les Blarg will be the last semis before we find out who our top 2 are. And they'll battle it out to say, I'm the better Dragon Shadow player.
That's right. The winner of this series goes into the finals against Alternative, also running Dragon Shadow deck.
Dragon Shadow everywhere. It's just everywhere.
There's dragons and shadows everywhere.
Please help. Send help, please. Hey, you know what was cool about the last series? That Dark Angel Olivia actually did work.
Oh,
man.
that's the...
There are very few times I feel like where I see every single evolution orb you gain from Dark Angel Olivia take into effect and then win you the game.
He didn't even use it on its full effect. He still had 1 orb left.
Yeah, he overflowed one of the orbs from... He was...
But that orb, that last orb that he had is what won him the game, being able to Zell and then Orbilis.
Good choice. I mean, the timing is also really important when you drop Dark Angel because, I mean, 9 costs for a 4/4, right? It's like,
yeah.
So, I think it was well spent. Well spent. Mulligan, perhaps a Genesis Dragon, and the Zell, of course. Zell is a late game card despite its play point cost. Anyways.
Definitely. Blarg has 3 opportunities to ramp in this opening hand with 2 Oracles.
And he's going first. Let's see. Oh my god.
And Blazing Breath and Breath of the Salamander kind of not the cards you really want to draw. And Lest has got 3 of them. 2 Breaths and 2 Blazing Breaths, 1 Breath of the Salamander. Blarg's not really going to be playing much followers. And even if he does play an Aelia, just clearing it just gives the advantage back over to Blarg.
Oh, he's got the Dragon.
There's the Dragoon.
The Dragoon. All right. We're on turn 3, but it's turn 4. And it's going to be turn...
We're on turn 3, but it's
5,
turn 4.
But it's going to be turn 3. Wait.
That's right.
I'm
There's a
getting
difference
confused.
between the orbs you have and the turn it actually is.
I'm getting confused. I think it doesn't matter for Sybil though. I think Sybil just gives it to you. if
Sybil
you're
gives you the orb, but it only it only gives you the orb if you play it after turn 5.
Mm.
So if you've ramped before it and you play it right when you have 5 orbs, it won't give you the orb.
All right, let's see. Oh my God, he just passed. He just passed.
Lewis won.
There
He
it
had
is.
Forte in his hand. That would have been a great play.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess he wants to save onto that card. We'll see if that choice helps him out in the long run, saving onto Forte like that.
There's quite a few choices in hand here. Breath of the Salamander.
Getting great effect there, clearing off 2 followers. The
But
Sybil
now
and the
lagging
alien.
behind in points. And this is the situation I'm talking about where the person who went second actually ended up being the person who had more orbs. He's already at 10 play points, while his opponent is just going to be coming up to 8
That's interesting. Why do you think that it happened this way?
because he got some of them juicy oracles, got
That's
some
right,
of them
yeah.
Sibyls.
Mhm.
You know, he was having a good time just up and down the ramp. Technology, man, makes it much easier to travel in vertical directions. You know,
These black wings are
geometry, architecture, all of them combined.
Yeah.
What is a key subject matter that has enabled things like ramps,
Levers, ramps, simple machines,
civil machines,
yada, yada, yada.
engineering.
And we're still seeing Les sitting on those 2 blazing breaths that he drew in the first turn of the game.
Breath of the Salamander gonna take down Forte, and Blorg is on his merry way.
And now we're officially in the late game. That was the 9th orb for Les. He's got 10 orbs now. We'll see what he's able to do. Both players sitting on very full hands, too. I love this.
Mm-hmm.
And the Dragoon is still in the hand of Les. Definitely, I think, a solid win condition if you've got a full hand of 9 cards being able to do 8 damage directly at a face.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get your opponent down to that level.
Oh man, that's a big if, isn't it?
Yeah, one big if. And that's 12 attack damage, 3 defense Rahab. Unfortunately, Breath of the Salamander does exactly 3 damage when he plays
He
on
could
2
also
orbs.
Ouroboros.
Yeah, he could. He could, yeah.
But then that exposes the Ouroboros to Lightning Blast.
the sky's my
Zell?
destination.
Probably
Ouroboros?
Ouroboros, yeah.
Evolve.
He did damage to face. He
Oh.
could have...
There's a lot more.
He
Oh,
wants to
he's
kill
gonna,
it
he's gonna
off.
evolve the Zell.
He
Okay.
wants to kill it off to not get Lightning Blasted.
Right.
Oh, it's gonna get Lightning Blasted.
But next turn, that's Dragoon. That's victory. If Blarg
Oh yeah,
doesn't heal up,
you are correct.
that's going to be 6 damage.
Oh my God,
We'll
I
see.
think Les just gave Blarg the old one too.
I think, oh my gosh,
He
that's
just
game.
gave him the old one too.
Dragoon coming in effect, and he didn't even have Dragonmancer's rights. Oh my gosh. I saw that card in the deck. I was like, oh, I got so excited. Oh, man. There it is. There it is. Come on, play the card. Play the card.
Excuse the indecorum.
Wow.
My God.
Ooh.
Oh my God, he just dropped the mic on this poor man's face.
Drop the mic last. What a play. What a choice to throw Imperial Dragoon into your Ramp Dragon deck.
He only had one of them too.
You only had one of them.
It was.
You might not
it
even
was
draw
a
it.
chosen one.
He drew it on, it was like turn 3 or turn 4, I think, that he
Yeah.
ended up drawing really earlier in the game.
Chosen Dragoon. It was just, I was racking my brain thinking of like, how are you ever gonna get in this situation where you can have the cards in hand, but spend enough to get the damage? But it worked out perfect.
It was the Zell or Boros doing that 8 damage to face plus the 3, that 11 damage, and
Yeah.
then discarding that was more than 20 damage in 2 turns.
Oh my God.
Wow. And now we're going into game 2.
I want to play that deck.
I definitely want to try it. Oh man, that was great. All right.
The next time you see me, I'm gonna be a Dragoncraft main.
Mother, father.
Next time, so tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
probably.
tomorrow
You're
morning.
gonna be Dragoncraft main.
Yeah, I didn't sleep all night. I just played Dragoncraft.
Spent 55,000 red vials. I'm now broke. I had to sell my house.
All my belongings. Kept my internet subscription on my phone. Oh my god.
All right, Lest switching over to a Shadow deck, Blarg staying on his Dragon deck. Not a terrible curve from Lest. Curb. Catacomb is gonna be able to play next turn, beef up those followers. And there's not any removal in the hand of Blarg. He doesn't have Blazing Breath. He doesn't have Breath of the Salamander.
He's going to slowly ramp up, and Ambush is going to kind of drop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The lack of removal means he's going to have to play a follower. And if he plays a follower, then that means that Les is going to trade into it, which means that the Shadow Reaper is
But if the
keeping on his
follower that he
workout
plays
plan.
is Aelia, that's going to be playing into Blarg's hand as well.
Yeah.
But that's, by the time you've ramped up, that's going to be a lot of damage to face. It could be too much for Blarg to handle.
Mhm.
We'll see if Blarg the Blogger can hold on as long as he needs to get to the late game.
Blarg the Blogger, huh?
He probably doesn't even blog. Who blogs?
doesn't.
That's so 90s.
Can't keep relying on
It's all
me,
about the
dragon.
vlogging.
It's all about the vlogging.
Oh god, I feel dirty for saying that word. Hey, is Erd a thing?
Erd's the thing. You could play it this turn.
Destiny
There it is.
calls.
We talked about it.
Mhm.
Oftentimes it felt like it was just a card in hand.
Wow,
That's
getting
great.
great effect right there.
Mhm.
That was a solid Erd play. He's got a full board of followers.
Getting some shadows.
And there's no... Oh, I was so hoping that he would draw Breath of the Salamander. That would have been great board clear. Even if he did draw it, though, that still would have been a lot of skeletons on the side of Lest.
Yeah. 7 damage. Can opt to bump it up to 9.
And now Lest
Doesn't he have a board space to play Cerberus, actually?
Yeah, he is. That's the first world problem of the aggro Shadow deck.
Yeah.
You don't have board space, you can't play your other followers. It's not going to matter, though. That's going to be a lot of damage.
Oh, God. What is even the turn 8 play here? He's got Ouroboros that can slow down some of it. He's got 2 of them.
And Rahab as well. I think the ward is going to be crucial as well. He could Rahab and Grimnir. Getting a lot of ward. He's going to play Sahak Will.
Sahak.
Easterfield, that's a great play. Going to be able to
Yep.
clear the board.
Be gone.
And evolving Sahak. Make sure you can finish the killing blow on Erd, perhaps. So it's not even going to matter. It's going to be able to swipe it all in one go.
Yep.
This must be
Oh, what a great play.
Phantom Howl?
Phantom Howl.
Oh!
Oh.
Oh. Well,
Well, that's still a little soul squasher. He's got 10 shadows. That would take care of the Sahak wheel. Or Cerberus. And you'd have enough to play Coco, do 2 damage to face. That's 5 damage.
I think he definitely wants to save damage to face until he knows he can make the kill, because if he spends it 2 and he doesn't get the option to kill off in the next turn or so,
Right.
then there's just going to be slow healing that's going to come across. And he's got Israfil to ping for 4.
Getting Death's Breaths, hoping that he draws Ector next turn.
There are options on the side of Blarg to play now.
That's right,
to kinda control
there's
the
another
situation.
Israfil. And an Evolve Point as well.
Didn't quite reach the option to close out the game, lest had like a very strong first few turns, but he needs something a little more impactful in his hand, I feel like.
Yeah, it's such a bummer that Israfil only does 2 damage. It's not gonna. There's 2 zombies that won't be dead from Israfil's ability. Still, Sahakui gonna trade into one of them.
The 2 sisters, Sahakwiel and Israfil.
They're sisters?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
According to a very fine gentleman from a land far, far away.
Time to go a little wild.
I would have him tell me stories of Shadowverse all night long.
Sounds like your dad.
What?
Sounding
Tell me a story of Shadowverse, Dad.
Oh, yeah, I suppose that is the thing that happened. My dad just said, stay in your room, study harder. That was, damn it.
Oh man, there's a great Grimnir play right here. Getting great effect being able to clear off those 3 followers. Definitely knowing that Ector is a possibility. I think that's gotta be very sweet. That's gotta sound like a great option for Blarg.
All right.
The sky's my
Zell
destination.
Evolve Storm
Time to say goodbye.
takes down. Oh my
Oh my
god.
gosh, that's gonna be it.
Yep. Here we were sitting, twiddling our thumbs. Meanwhile,
Joking about our childhoods.
Blurg!
Blarg taking game 2.
I mean, that's really why it's so important to have board control
Mm-hmm.
against Dragoncraft, because you leave one of them up there. They're all heavy swingers, right?
Yeah.
Every single one of their card at that point in the game is a heavy swinger.
Yeah.
So you just...
Yeah, leaving Sahak Wheel up is what did him in.
Mhm.
You can have that extra 6 damage.
And in many cases, we talked about how just like wards that are 3 health are just not that great. You almost want to be 4, 5 is better, right? Because a 4 still gets swung out by Zell.
Right.
Multi-purpose. A card that can both rush and then give storm. And cards that heal, ramp, do damage. Just there's so much stuff there for Dragon.
All right, it is game 3 of the semifinals. The winner of this goes to face Alternative in the finals. It's Shadow against Shadow. I'm going to look down, tie my shoe, look back up, and the game's going to be over.
Gonna tie your shoe, look up, and the game's gonna be over. We'll see. Maybe they'll just like draw each other out of options, and we'll have this ever slow kind of deck.
The ultimate top deck duel.
Like
Yeah.
this
But-
is gonna end when they get to 0 cards in deck.
Still haven't seen that yet in the NGE Shadowverse Open.
Yeah. All right, Scobie.
Still, these are great curves coming out from both players.
Mhm.
There's a 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop. Blarg has Orthrus in his hand.
Yeah. And we all know how that goes.
I have a feeling like both players are going to go for face 100% of the time.
Oh.
As I say that.
Man.
Bummer, man. Predictions are hard.
It's okay, buddy. It's okay. He did go for face there.
Blarg went for face, yep.
Ector in
Oh,
hand,
there's
ready to
another
go, and
catacomb.
there's another catacomb. He's just gonna overflow his board. 1 down, 2 to pop.
The bones embrace
Oh.
me.
Man, thinking about the choices that the players... one skeleton go to waste. But the choices that the players have about how to trade when some followers might have 2 summon skeletons, others might have 1. And when both sides of the board have those options, those are 2 skeletons gone to waste for Lest.
Evolves a skeleton to make him King Daddy Skeleton. That's the one that is proactive and is acting on his hopes and dreams. That's
And
the one that's gonna break through.
That's a big advantage on the board on the board for Blarg.
Oh, somebody stepping up for his job, looking to take him down. I've got a crown too, but in the end, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. And they both lose their lives. Well, whatever you can consider a life for a skeleton.
Right.
So here we are on turn 5. We've got Cerberus, board control in favor of Lest. The shadows are 6 and 8, as we're getting closer to the turns where Ector shows his face. And I feel like there are a few options in hand for Blarg, but really the key thing for Shadowcraft is to make sure when they're hitting that turn 6, 7, they have significant things on board to take benefit of that.
And right now, I think both players are trying to clear their boards to make sure that doesn't happen. So both players are trying to prevent the same thing that they're trying to get.
I really think for Lest, it's kind of an interesting situation because he can always just use Death's Breath to just pop up a bunch of zombies as is. And voila.
And Lest having the first play point advantage, he's going to be able to play Ector first. And having Death's Breath on turn 6, that might be the tipping point of this game.
Let's see how he decides to trade. He has a Lurching Corpse to try to snipe one of the creatures here, so... He's going to go for the Lyriel. Oh, he's going to keep the Corpse. I guess,
Well, but
you know,
Corpse
every
can't trade
single-
into a follower that doesn't have Ward. It has to
Yes.
attack the leader.
Yes. So I think the interesting thing about the situation is that he's got 4 units on board. That means that none of these zombies are really going to have rush, but they can all swing face. So
Right, there's no wards. I think it might be... okay, well...
just trying to board clear. Yep.
Just trying to board clear, right. I don't think it'll be 15 damage. quite just yet, but it'll be a lot of board clear and a lot of base damage. He's got 8 shadows. That'll be 2 zombies.
No more evolution orbs for either of these players.
Right.
Let's see, they're sitting and just waiting.
This head can't be taken.
Weighing all the options, he's going to go with Vector this turn.
There it is. Rush on 2. Got face for 7.
Sorry, gotta go. You run, winner.
He does actually lower the health on his ward there, which could open up some opportunities, or could have opened up some opportunities for something dangerous perhaps to occur,
I
but
guess going for the board clear was better. He knew that Ector was going to be coming out this turn, or had to assume that it would.
the
That would have
highlight
been just
was-
another follower, yeah.
takes
And
down
that
the
lurching
Ector.
corpse has been on the field for a while.
Yeah. Guy's just been hanging out.
But that's a nerd and a free Ector that's going to die.
You're mean. Destiny calls.
Such an efficient play, that Erd really coming in handy.
Hmm.
Twice now.
Getting a really great, a second lurching corpse as well.
And still there's some powerful cards. You're getting Wind God at a point where you don't have a lot of units on board. Really
Right.
neat. Is Bone Chimera into Wind God?
Me your power, O
But certainly not the ideal situation for the card.
Yeah, I guess that was the main option that Blarg had, but now Lest has got Cerberus in hand and is going to be able to buff up the followers he's already got on his board. That's going to be a lot of damage.
All right, Bone Chimera. He's staring at that Skull Beast. They're kind of like, the way their portraits are, it really looks like they're fighting each other, you know? Like one's standing below, kind of looking up, and the other
Little bit.
standing around, kind of looking down.
Yep, if you play Cerberus, he doesn't have quite enough damage for lethal this turn. But there's no wards and only a Coco and Mini in the hand of Blarg. The next draw for Blarg is going to be absolutely crucial and will decide the fate of the semifinals. Because it is the final game of the series. Man, tensions are high.
If he opts not to clear any of the war, okay, so he's gonna go for it.
Hmm.
Could have been dangerous based on the top deck there.
This win
If he opts not to clear the Wind God buffs again,
Right,
You know.
right.
all of a sudden you're 10 damage. You only need 2 more to close it out, and it's gonna be a Skull
It's going
Beast.
to be a Skull Beast. Not a great draw.
Oh no. What is the plan?
It's the pits for
Maybe.
you.
This must be fate.
Really?
Tear to shreds.
You sure about that?
He's gonna spend both his cards. May as well drop the Skull Beast down. All right. So here it is.
Man, you called it right. Both players playing this so that their opponent is exhausted, so that they run out of cards.
Oh, surprise! And that's going to make it real tough to claw his way back in. That necessitates a huge draw here. Oh. There it is. It looks
Yep.
like with the Phantom Howl in hand, you can try hard as you might. But the fact that these zombies have been given nice homes and shelter, they're well fed and have ward on each of them, plus an extra health point. They're not afraid of no ghosts. Get out of here.
Blarg's going to do his best to clear off the board, but it's not going to be enough. Lest is going to be able to take this series and
Move
advance
on
to the finals.
Move on to the finals. So we have ourselves in a situation where Dragoncraft and Shadowcraft are fighting furiously. Unfortunately, I feel like I would love to see more Imperial Dragoon, but it's going to be Blarg moving on this time. As
Sadly.
glorious as, and maybe that was what comes around goes around, as glorious as that victory and that showmanship was.
Mhm.
Oh man, Blarg held strong, said, no, you know what? I'm doing this. And he
Great.
did.
Great. Yeah, really great series. We'll see how the Shadow decks and the Dragon decks are going to hold up against each other in another matchup.
Mhm. Let's take a look at the brackets to see what we have waiting for us in the finals. It'll be Alternative versus Less. And these two players have fought incredibly difficult decks to make it to this point in the tournament. Alternative against Lux, who was actually, I feel like his deck was incredibly lethal, especially Shadowcraft. He was playing so fast with it. Alternative was able to survive and kind of win out the other two matches there. And say, you know what, Shadowcraft was tough, but I think I have the better matchup overall, and that was the case. So we're going to be sitting. We're going to be waiting to see who the third Shadowverse Open victor will be. Alternative or Less. And again, we have ourselves in a situation where a lot of the teams got knocked out. And if they made it real far.
Yeah, that's right.
But they're
still earning a lot of points. We'll see what the actual point count will be as far as Mana Surge, Shadow Nexus, who's going to be in top. I have a feeling like Shadow Nexus, because of Exodium winning last week, is still going to be in top. They're ahead by, I think, at least 100 points, 120 points. Yeah, so a pretty sizable lead from Shadow Nexus.
Yeah. So any other teams out there need to be gunning for that spot. Dethrone Shadow Nexus and become the new kings and wait your turn to be dethroned yourself.
So we mentioned when we saw these Shadow decks, we were talking about Erd versus Necro Assassin, but we saw Erd come to great effect.
Yeah. And it really helped kind of extend the situation, make sure that Lurching Corpse was getting good value. And there was a very concerted effort to kind of sidestep Lurching Corpse, kind of like, you know, avoiding kind of that weird, awkward structure that you're not
And in
really
the final
sure.
game, that Lurching Corpse was still on the field for the whole game.
Yeah,
it was played on.
Resummoned it, and it was just like, all right, I'm back, guys.
I'm back. Well, I can't do anything. Yeah, you don't want to attack it. It just clears your board. But there wasn't a position that he was in to get rid of it.
Yeah. Man, you know, I feel like it was all worth it just to see Dark Angel Olivia as well as Imperial Dragoon.
Yeah, really great cards.
Effective. I think sometimes you see so many Dragoncraft decks, you just have to appreciate the little differences, the little nuances.
Yeah, they really make the decks special and unique to the players.
Interesting that right at the end, we were talking about how much Dragoncraft can heal, but it was the ultimate failure in that case against the Imperial Dragoon, where he would have been able to, if he had the cards in hand, to kind of, I think, tide himself over and just barely heal enough.
Yeah, the Dragoon almost behaved like an Albert should. You get your opponent down to the health you need them to be, and then you play Dragoon, and then you play Albert on turn 9. Or whatever, and get that full 10 damage or 9 damage.
Yeah.
From the Dragoon.
Yeah, Dragoon. So Dragoon, you'll play it, right? It'll make your hand 8, and then it discards 8, so it'll do 8 damage to face, right?
Right.
That's why you like things like Silverbolt, where it'll like play it, it draws a card, it's like, okay, now we're gonna do the damage.
Right. Yeah.
How convenient! How nice! Very nice. Definitely a thought out factor there for side games where they were like, Dragoon doing 9. No.
Yeah. And how interesting that we haven't seen a single Forestcraft deck this week.
It's just all been, it's been Sword. I feel like people just like Sword. Like, I want to make
it
Sword
is.
work.
It feels good. Luminous Mage, great effect. Albert, all great cards.
But does losing feel good?
Losing does not feel good. And fortunately, we have not seen Swordcraft up to par like it needs to be to take this tournament.
Well, I'm still waiting for the day that people innovate and recreate the old Hamza Blade.
Yeah,
that's what I'm waiting for.
Hamza Blade. It was like Envy said. Yeah, Swordcraft just doesn't have the tools it needs to hold its own in the current meta.
Yeah. One day I want to see a duck that is as big as Bahamut. Can you imagine the artwork created? There's like this huge towering Bahamut and just like a small tiny duck, like David versus Goliath style.
But it's got like as many attack points. That's
it's
hilarious.
actually just got like a human arm with a huge bicep.
A huge bicep with a rocket launcher or whatever.
yeah. That's
not like that's going to do anything against Bahamut.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
Hamza's pretty. Hamza is different every day.
He's my emblem actually, or whatever the little picture.
Oh, yeah?
Profile picture. Yeah.
I think my emblem is still the default one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't
You
found
haven't
one that
changed
has,
it? Why? You
I
haven't
one
found
that
something
has,
you like?
that has struck my heart. I mean, maybe I could find Bellringer Angel, but then I think,
Right.
you know, I need to be unique.
There's something about the duck it's just funny. It's hilarious.
Yeah. A duck is very funny. Yeah. In general. Have you seen them just wobbling around? Incredibly awkward. Just gonna want them.
Yeah, ducks are great.
All right, waiting for the lobby to get set up here for the finals.
Mhm.
It's a little bit of a delay. I think they're taking a breather after all the super
Probably.
hype.
I would certainly expect them to.
It's like two sides, right? Because they're having to play mirror matches. On the one hand, it's like the super fast-paced, like Shadowcraft fight where you're just
Right.
like going, and then there's a Dragoncraft mirror match where you're just sitting there like, okay,
long, drawn out. It's more contemplative. There's
Yeah.
a lot of thought that goes into each play. Well, there
Yeah.
is in Shadowcraft as well, but
Mhm.
it's much longer. A lot
Yeah.
more turns you're thinking through.
trying to
So the
figure
players
out what options your opponent has. in
Getting
hand.
some pop,
Getting
some popcorn, whatever the popped cola.
Do you say
whatever
soda
call
or
it.
pop?
I say Coke.
You say
Coke.
what do you
It's
say?
Coke. It's a Coke.
What happens if it's a Sprite?
It's still a Coke. I'm from the South, dude. Bruh. That's what you. That's what it's called. Come on, chat. Anyone from the South? Everything's a Coke.
What?
No, there's no pop. There may be a soda. Someone might say, "Yeah, I'll take a soda." That's something you'd hear, but no one calls it cola. God, who says that? I'm sorry.
I
if
think
you say
people in
that.
Japan say cola, right?
Oh, really? Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
I think that's their go-to terminology.
Pop is
for
definitely the Midwestern one.
pop.
Yeah.
You just call everything Coke?
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch you the next time we go to a fast food restaurant. I'm just gonna sit there and be like, "What would you like to drink?" And I'm just gonna lean in and make sure you describe. What? So, are you the kind of guy who goes to like a drive-thru and says, "I want Coke," and then they give you Coke, and you're like, "No, I actually wanted Sprite."
No,
What happens then?
I'll actually, if I'm asking for something specific, I will refer. I want this brand. I want that brand. I want that brand.
Was there
But if
ever
I'm
a
talking
situation-
about soda drinks in general, I will say Coke. Yeah. So, oh, what kind of
I can-
Coke do you have? Something like that. Yeah.
That sounds so weird to me.
Dude, it's
That sounds so weird.
welcome to my world.
You are a weird human being.
Well, there's billions of us, millions of us in
To
the
be
South.
fair, I'm weird as well, but my God.
All right, the players have had their pop, they've had their cola, and their sodas and their Cokes, whatever they've needed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Just the worst. Sterling is the worst. Please save me.
All right, we are going into the first game of the finals. Our alternative versus less. It's going to be a dragon on dragon. We'll see what these mulligans are. I think that's going to be the telltale factor for how this game's going to go.
All who oppose shall be crushed.
Okay, Forte, fine.
We get it.
We get it. She like went on for a whole nother like
Yeah.
5 seconds.
I will bathe in your blood. It's something she says.
Yeah.
She doesn't talk like that. That would be
That's-
weird.
I would be.
Greetings.
How not? What? The dichotomy between the intro and then the
Yeah.
greetings.
Greetings.
I
will
know
bathe in
just-
your blood.
I know I just threatened you.
I know I just threatened to completely emasculate you and humiliate you by bathing in your blood.
Oh my God.
I can't keep relying on you, dragon.
All right. Talking about the game, there's great ramp in the hand of Lest with 2 Alias, and he used Oracle on the previous turn.
Sybil not in sight. Meanwhile, for alternative, that is a thing. Instead, Draconic Fervor might be the go-to play, especially because there's nothing really to kill your Ayla on.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, the Imperial Dragon returns. It's
Yep.
back.
And there's the Olivia. We saw the Olivia come in clutch, and we saw the Dragoon come up. Really great in different games. We'll see which one comes out on top here. Oh, man. I love
Olivia-
both those cards so much.
I think that
These black wings are
currently.
ungrateful.
Oh, are you gonna evolve that, or are you just gonna swing? I think you should just swing.
Yeah, save the evolve point. When you've only got 2, Les does not have Olivia in his deck. The 5 damage is great. Unfortunately, Sybil, he's going to be able to heal up just a little bit off of that.
Bluest water.
But still, that's going to be 15 health. Or
There's
16
a lot
health.
more where that came from.
It's a very interesting combo to be able to play Sahak Cell Bahamut and then return the Bahamut, draw a card, and then play the Imperial Dragoon the next turn.
I've got to take a break.
And it's like you said previously, the player who went second has been able to ramp more efficiently.
Now only on 9 points.
Dragoon, do it! Do it!
I don't think it's worth it at this point.
That would be probably the worst play. Completely empty your hand when you've got Sybil, Bahamut, Genesis Dragon.
Do you try to save your forte in this situation?
It could be another 5 damage, and it's another follower that Alternative's just going to have to get rid of.
Yep. Looks like he's going to rush and then swing forte to face, mitigate some healing, and force a situation here. Now, at 10 play points, that opens up a lot of opportunities for using Zell for Storm. You could throw Zell into the Sybil and then throw Ouroboros into face kind of thing.
Right, and I think it's really smart that Les elected to not play Rahab or Alia. I suppose he could have played Alia, but if he played Rahab, he knew that turn 10 was coming up for Alternative. He knew that Lightning Blast or Bahamut could have come out as well. Really smart saving onto that Rahab.
Here it is. 8 to face.
Now, jump into the wind.
Zell's going to be able to clear off the board. Really great play. Oh, he's trading the... I guess he wanted to get the healing back.
He wanted to get the heal. Yeah, that was the earlier play that we saw. That I thought Les was going to go for, but he had the Imperial Dragoon, so he actually just went for face. Was able to close it out.
Right,
Oh, Genesis Dragon. So much danger here. The direct damage at the end. It is very similar to something Silver Bolty, where you're
He's going to try to get the damage and then use Imperial Dragoon next turn. He's got the damage for it next turn if Alternative isn't able to heal up. What's the draw?
You
It's
better
Alia.
heal. Oh, God. He needs to kill it off.
So he's going to be able to heal.
8. He has 6 cards in hand. He's going to draw to 7, so it's going to do 6 damage. Not quite enough.
Not quite enough, and that will completely exhaust his hand. Not the play
The sky's my
right now.
destination.
Very dangerous scenario. 2 Zells on the board. All evolution points spent.
He's got to try to get some more face damage if he wants to really make the Dragoon useful. But he knows that the Ouroboros is still in the hand of Alternative as well.
Interesting. He's going to commit the Bahamut here.
Regrets.
Probably means there's going to be a counter Bahamut. There it is.
Bahamas for days, man. So many sunburns. Break out the aloe vera gel.
And so how is he going to remove this? Did he just play himself into a corner?
It's possible. He does.
He has Rahab, which is a fairly decent ward in this scenario. But what can he assist with?
There's Rahab, Breath of the Salamander, Blazing Breath. That's a lot of clear, but I don't think it's going to add up to
He's drawn
13
for it.
damage. He's drawn for it. Hopefully trying to stall it out for one turn.
I mean, if there's no healing and he survives this turn,
he wanted to draw to get the...
He's going to draw to 9 and then do 8 damage on playing Imperial Dragoon. So it just all comes down to is there any healing available? You have to kill Ouroboros, so you can't... 3, 13, 16, no evolution orb. He's got an evolution orb now. He's got 15, but he can't play the 3.
That's it. Les is going to be able to win. He's going to have enough damage.
This is just...
Oh my gosh.
This is that Draconic Fervor into the Dragon Oracle. Whoever thought you would win a game off 2 draw cards?
He knew exactly.
Oh my God, he did it again!
The same emote.
Oh my God. Somebody, please.
Headphone users.
Stop this man. Stop him.
Man, outlaw that card. Oh, that's such a great card with this synergy. He's really using it well.
Oh my God. Imperial Dragoon. The guy,
I wouldn't have guessed it. I wouldn't have guessed it, but it works.
He's not even swung a single time. He's just sitting there. He's just like, I'm here now. Oh, the fight's over. All right, going back to my lawn
Bahamut's
chair.
on the field, and he plays Draconic Fervor, Dragon Oracle. Just give me all the cards I need. Slams it down. Does the damage he needs. Wins the game.
They do say that Dragoons are warriors against dragons, right?
Oh,
So
really?
Bahamut was defeated by Imperial Dragoon.
The more you know.
The more you know. Oh my God, Lest. Lest.
And now he's going to be moving on to his Shadow deck. We'll see what deck Alternative sticks with. He's going to stay with his Dragon deck.
If he curves out, This could be over.
It's going to come down to the draw, I think.
Bow before
Even then, I'm going to give the advantage to Lest. I mean, I have to. We've seen Shadowcraft absolutely decimate Dragoncraft in the early stages of the game. And he's got a pretty
the
decent
old
curve. 1, 2, 3. What's this draw going to be? It's
and
going
an
to
early Zell in hand is not ideal. The 2 Grimners will help tide him over quite a bit.
Sure.
Oh, he's got the Sergeant.
Still, he might not even have a. He doesn't even have a. He's got Zell, the tempo Zell, but he would have liked to have saved that for later in the game for sure.
The only issue is getting the Bone Chimera on 3. Oh, the Orthus on 4 is going to be great. Bone Chimera here, and I think the choice might be to swing face here.
Yeah.
Because he knows that Orthus will help him recover board control. You don't need to remove the Zell quite yet. Oh my gosh. Makes it
Knew he had to play the Grimnir instead of Aelia. He really knew he needed that ward.
I have no regrets.
All right,
Ooh.
he can throw that in. Do
Yep.
2 damage to face. That's really good tempo here.
Really great turn. Yep.
What a great card to get it on. The one with the last word effect.
Yep.
as
And there's
well.
still an evolved Rahab for alternative, and not a great 5-point play card for Lest. He does have Soul Squasher. That's going to be able to, and 4 shadows perfectly. He'll have 5 when this card is destroyed. So that'll take out Rahab, and that's going to be more damage to face. He's bleeding out.
He's got 3 damage here. Could be evolved.
Yeah,
up
the little
to 5.
the little Soul Squasher will destroy that. He could Soul Conversion after his turn, after he's gone for face if he wants to. He needs more options. Death's Breath he's not going to be able to get Ward next turn. Cerberus, that's
He's
great.
got
That'll-
Skull Beast that will give him potentially even more shadows.
Yep, and that'll be great with Cerberus next turn as well. If playing Cerberus, and then we've still got 1 more play orb left over for Coco or Mimi. Mimi. Is it Mimi or Mimi? Mimi or Mini?
Mimi.
It's Mimi. Okay, great.
I am the mad
Here comes the
Cyclone.
Mad Cyclone. He's going to have to evolve it. Just really on panic. Couldn't even play the Sybil there. He's
Yeah.
too scared of the damage buff.
And it's still going to be now. It's going to be no sweat for Les to clear off that ward, and more damage to face. Next turn, Ector's going to come out. Lest has got so much favor in this fight.
He needs to make sure he gets a few more shadows.
Yeah. But even if I mean, I don't think it's going to matter. I mean, Ector's going to he's had a full board.
Yeah.
He's had at least 2 or 3 followers
Yeah.
on his side of the board this whole game.
That's very true. He's going to be able to get rid of the ward.
Saving Coco, he's going to be able to buff up one of his followers next turn as well.
Does he evolve here?
I don't think he needs to.
Oh, he
and
tapped
that's
out!
alternative tapping out.
He tapped out. There was so much pressure, and I think Alternative just looked at his hand and knew that,
And-
Sybil can give you a lot of healing, but you need to make sure you have a little more space, you need to make sure that you're able to at least clear the board once, but just the constant, the Orthrus on 4, giving the Bone Chimera the buff was exactly the move that he needed it to make.
Yeah.
Was able to take down the 2-1. And there were just so many little things, right? Like, if he wasn't able to take down the Zell and the Orthrus effect had hit the ward, then he would have swung the ward in with another character, and then,
And
it just would have
alternative
been super awkward.
Alternative was forced to use his evolve points on his Grimnir, on his Rahab, when he really wanted to be saving those for the Zell combos later in the game, but we didn't even make it to the later stage of the game.
Imperial Dragoon.
Imperial Dragoon.
Imperial Dragoon.
Not enough can be said about the 2 times. The two
And
times.
he gave them the mic drop both times as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
It's like the MO for a killer,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? Like, oh, this was done by Lest. How do you know? You can tell because
He used the
he
emote.
left this message, right? That's his message that he leaves.
Yeah,
Let's
big
take a
deal.
look at the bracket and see the conclusion of Shadowverse Open number 3. Lest is going to be your first place finisher, going to get an invite to the playoffs. I wonder if he's going to take even more creative decks into the later events.
We'll see what other things he can come up with. We'll definitely be seeing him again in a few weeks.
Lest, really making it happen.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of Dragoncraft and Shadowcraft today, a little bit of Sword. How was the experience for you today, Sterling?
I thought it was wonderful. I mean, it was kind of what we expected. We were looking forward to that. We knew it was going to happen. And I think the differences, the subtle differences, the Imperial Dragoon, the Dark Angel Olivia's in those mirror matchups, those subtle differences gaining the advantages that the player needs, those came in absolutely crucial.
I believe so as well. It was exciting to see good old Dark Angel Olivia do work. Imperial Dragon was awesome. I still have high hopes for something Swordcraft to finally make it through.
We'll see if there's a special new card, a new strategy that we haven't seen before next week that Swordcraft, maybe even another class, can bring out.
All right. Well, remember, guys, as we come up close to the end of this broadcast, shadowverse.nge.io. Visit the website to make sure you know when we're live, when tournaments are happening, how to sign up for them, get all that information. At Watch NGE, tell us about Imperial Dragoon. Tell us about it.
Yeah.
Make pictures about him, of him just flinging cards.
Flinging cards?
Yeah. Imperial
Making it
Dragoon
rain.
just flinging cards, yeah. Making it rain. You know, talk to us about anything at Watch NGE on Twitter. Man, what a day. The third Shadowverse Open comes to a conclusion, and Lest will take the spot. So it's going to be Kier Mango, Exodium, and Lest are the first 3 direct invites. There's still many more weeks of the Shadowverse Open to come, 7 to be exact. And before we close out, I would love to give another thanks for the ever so wonderful Envy Bears for taking time out of her day to talk to us, to share her knowledge and expertise, to help us learn the game better.
Absolutely.
And to provide a very entertaining and enlightening experience on broadcast. So thank you again, Envy Bear, for coming on. You get 2 thumbs up. And 4. It's 2 more from him. So I can count.
We can count.
I can't. All right. That's Sterling. I'm Rainey. And for us, we bid you a good evening for those in North America. And good morning and good afternoon for those of you in other parts of the world. We'll see you next week on the Shadowverse Open.